On a sun-splashed day. Wouldn't it have been a great day for opening day in baseball at a lot of places, including just north of us, the parent club of the AAA Memphis Redbirds? The St. Louis Cardinals were going to have opening day today, but we don't. And we know why. Day 21 without sports due to COVID-19. And Dave Wolo, one of these days we're going to get back to the ballpark, and I've said it many times. I don't think through the years that I have ever underappreciated sports. I don't think I have. I don't think you have. I don't think a lot of us haven't. But one of these days when we get back, if I ever did for a single solitary second, I'll never let it happen again. I tell people I'm not just old and nostalgic now, but because I was nostalgic when I was young. I have been I think through my life, a very reflective person, certainly appreciative of the lot in life that I've been given, both sports and otherwise. And I've really never taken it for granted. But if I ever have, I promise, I make a vow I never will again, because today has bothered me. Today, not watching Fox Sports Midwest and how they treat opening day. And I know for everybody, for their team and teams and Grizzlies fans and all sports fans, it is very hurtful, but we plow on, Dave. Good afternoon, Dave.
Good afternoon. I think for those of us that are in this business, we sort of mark our whole year by sports.
Agree.
I know for sure that when we're coming to the end of the NCAA basketball season, I've got that third season, that postseason that's so exciting, and I can't wait for it, because then I know right after the Final Four I've got Augusta, and then I'm right into baseball. And we were fortunate to have an addition as 901 FC. And so if you were a soccer fan, and we got plenty of those, an entirely different culture, but still passionate. And
sure.
So, we sort of marked our years going from one season to the next, and all the memories associated with that, and now everything is just on hold. And, you were the first one to say it, and there was a great article in I think it was on Yahoo Sports that I read today, and basically it's right on the money. If we want to know when college football will be back, we'll know when the schools come back, because now in that article I read, and you were the first one to say it, but I did read that you couldn't ask a football player to go to school and come onto the field when everybody else is online. You can't do that. You can't ask the rest of the student body to stay at home and let these guys come on and then perspire on one another and bleed on one another and bang on one another. You just could not do that. And I don't know, I get more and more scared about when we'll really have any of these sports again. Iowa State's AD Jamie Pollard said that his school will implement a 1-year temporary pay reduction for athletic coaches and certain members of the athletic staff. He wants to reduce the payroll by at least $3 million. And in this other article, it was pointing out, and I knew it was big money, but it really scares you when you see the average Power 5 conference football home game for that particular school is worth, and this is average, $14 million per home game. The average season of revenue stream that is brought in by football for the Power 5 conferences, obviously they vary. This is the exact average. It's a $120 million revenue stream, $14 million a home game. And that's what you're basically looking at now, wondering, will we get this in full? Will we get this in part? Will we get this at all?
Yeah, and Dave, and right there, those numbers, it's the biggest reason in the whole Little Rock versus Fayetteville debate. It's pure economics. They make so much more off of a game in Fayetteville than they do going to Little Rock, and then there are some recruiting restrictions for Little Rock. I think that was probably in its last days anyway. Coming out of this, that will probably be the coup de grace for anything like that. All these made for TV early season games, Arlington, Houston, Orlando, Atlanta, I think those will be a thing of the past. They were about to run their course anyway. It's still some big money, but there had been so much pressure on people to do things on campus. We got to know a little. I'm not going to overdo it at all, but got to know a little Jamie Pollard in Iowa State. In their trip here to the AutoZone Liberty Bowl when they played the Tigers a few seasons back, the season of 18, was it 17 or 18? One of those seasons. And we got to know him a little, and one of the young up-and-comers in the sports world, in the athletics director's world. He's taking preemptive measures. He's taking control of things, or try to control his cost as best he can. And I don't know how anybody could really argue with it. Dave, if there is no fall semester, you know what else that impacts? That impacts basketball, college basketball, because there won't be the November, December slate of games. It won't be those great tournaments we often see in November and December, including Maui, and one I think the Tigers are planning on going on this year. There would be no November, December period if there's no fall semester. Might be some December, might be some once school would be out, maybe a modicum of those games. But would we jump right into January, February conference games, and you have a college basketball season of 15, 18, 20 games?
Well, I can remember when you really didn't start pretty much until December anyway. When I was
Me too,
in college
Dave.
in the 70s.
I agree. I remember it well.
So, I think they could pretty much get in most of the regular season, including the majority of the non-conference games. But you're right. The Maui Classic is in November. It's around Thanksgiving, and so is the
in
Bahamas.
That bandbox.
Right.
Yeah.
So is the Bahamas basketball tournament that Memphis is supposed to go to this year. And if we don't have a fall semester, well, you could start a fall semester online, I suppose, and try to work that into coming into the building later at a later time period. It will also come down to what makes you feel like it's safe enough, and that's going to come down to the doctors. That's going to come down to the Minogue Janes in Memphis and Dr. Fauci on a national basis. They'll tell us. I mean, the worst-case scenario could really be, and I'm not saying this will happen at all, but if we're just trying to be logical and look at things as they are, and knowing that you may not be in such a hurry to send your children or your spouse to a ball game with 70,000 people or 15,000 sitting next to you yelling at each other, we might really not have sports as we know it until we have a proven vaccine that we know works.
Maybe waiting till we back closer to 100%, Dave, than to 75 or 80%.
Yep.
And, life is just very rarely 100%.
I don't know the answers, but when I just keep reading, and I'll get to this in top and knot, but when we're there will be an announcement tomorrow about a temporary 1,000-bed hospital for Memphis, when we're told by the governor that we need 7,000 more hospital beds in the state for what is coming in the next 2 to 4 weeks. That's the reality of where we are. The future is totally up for grabs. There's no way we can tell what that reality will be.
That was almost a Yogiism.
What we can do is we know we got a surge coming in 2 to 4 weeks, and the doctors, who are the experts, who really know what this is all about, they're saying we need 7,000 more hospital beds in the state of Tennessee.
The Grizzlies would have played last night at FedEx Forum on April Fools. They would have played one of the more foolish teams in the NBA. They would have played the New York Knicks for the Knickerbockers' one and only appearance every year at FedEx Forum. That was game 11 missed. Friday night would have been at home against Dallas, and then a road trip to Portland and Denver before 2 out of the final 3 at home against Oklahoma City, Philadelphia, and last night of the year against Houston. They're going to miss all those games. We know that much for sure. kind of mixed reporting. I won't say mixed messages out of the R&A, but mixed reporting. Golf Digest last night, right before bedtime, big screaming headline, British Open, the Open Championship, canceled for 2020, a way for them to collect all of their insurance money with the cancellation rather than the postponement. Today, the R&A kind of equivocated some, very much, and said not so fast, no final decision made, but we feel the way that's going. When you look at the fatality rate in the United Kingdom, it is, I think, third in the world. Italy at about 12%, Spain about 9%, and the United Kingdom around 9%.
Well, all scary stuff, because we still don't know what is to come. You know, I look at that coronavirus dashboard, and I don't know that, you know, China's at 92%, and they've been there for a while, but we can't really believe those Chinese numbers. And
no,
as I kind of look around this dashboard for, you know, what the percentage of recovery numbers are, Europe is 18% recovered. Asia, they say, is 71% recovered. But can you trust the Chinese numbers that are in there? We just really can't tell. United States is at 4% recovered, and so we've still got a long way to go. Africa 7% recovered, Latin America 7% recovered, Canada 16% recovered, so Australia 11%. North America as a whole, 5%. South America, 8%. So we're really just beginning this thing.
We are, David. It's been the longest first inning we've ever been to.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, and I'm afraid it's the first inning of an 18-inning marathon, and we might have a right fielder pitching late in the game.
Ooh, yeah.
You mentioned Dr. Fauci and the doctors locally, and we've had a lot of them on. We're going to have more on. We're going to have many of them on again. I don't want to get too political. We know who the most powerful person in the country is. It is whomever is occupying the Oval Office. It's the President of the United States, and just to cut to the chase, the second most is probably the Vice President. After those two, Anthony Fauci may be the most powerful man in the country right now. All 7 of him from Brooklyn, reared over the pharmacy that his parents owned in Brooklyn.
The interesting aspect of Dr. Fauci, who appears to be, like, seriously, right, in his late 50s to early 60s, would you say?
He's 79
years old, and do you realize that he goes back to George H.W. Bush, the president? At that time, that was when he became a consultant to the United States for these sorts of medical issues.
He's the go-to guy.
I mean, think about how many presidents, both Bushes, Clinton, Obama, and now Trump, and so he's dealt with a lot of different people, but obviously stellar enough, impressive enough, knowledgeable enough, wise enough, whatever adjective you would choose to use, but he's gone through all those presidents and never been removed, so he is a man who knows what he's doing.
They're talking about just marathon days. He's putting in 20-hour days, and he still is managing to get in his run every day, now only about 2 to 3 miles, normally like to go about 7.
Well, I don't know how you do that at 79. That's pretty impressive.
I don't either. I don't know how you keep the knees. We got a busy show today at 3:30. We will visit with the mayor of Memphis, Mayor Jim Strickland, back with us again. The second visit on this subject. I can't wait till one day we get to talk to Mayor Strickland just about how fun something at Tiger Lane or downtown with the Tigers or the Grizzlies or the Redbirds or Memphis 901 or Southern Heritage Classic or AutoZone Liberty Bowl or WGC FESJI. But today, most of it will, if not all of it, will be on the subject matter of the day. That's COVID-19. At 4 o'clock, Inside Hoop City with Elliott Perry. At 4:30, a baseball conversation with our friend Tim Doolin. And at 5 o'clock, speaking of marathon men and what is he doing with all this free time, the voice of the Texas Longhorns, Craig Way, Dave's longtime friend. And Craig Way's one of those guys that when he starts football season in August, going to practice and just covering the Texas Longhorns, never mind his high school football work, he goes all the way through to Omaha. He does football, men's and women's basketball, and the Texas Longhorn baseball team and season as well. And they usually end up at or near Omaha. We'll visit with him at 5 o'clock. At 5:47, we'll round out this day with Taco Bell Crunch Time. And this hour brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Call them at 901-362-8833. Lexus of Memphis offering the golden opportunity spring sales event. It is beautiful out there today. Great offers on all 2020 models and always special lease options. If you've ever thought I'd look great in a Lexus, well, guess what? Lexus of Memphis thinks you would look great in a Lexus as well. Drive in luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of an all-new 2020 flagship LS500, and you'll be looking and driving great. Lexus of Memphis, the highest standards in the industry. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and that makes for the luxury driving experience. Thank you so much, Lexus, for staying with us. We appreciate you. Online at lexusofmemphis.com, 901-362-8833. Experience amazing. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
We are preparing for the surge, as I mentioned a little earlier. Tomorrow afternoon, the city will make an announcement about where they will place a 1,000-bed temporary hospital. It will not be FedEx Forum. There were some that speculated that might be the case. Apparently, there are some issues with the layout, and you couldn't get 1,000 beds on that floor, so that is not going to be the place. But we will find out tomorrow where that temporary hospital will be. County Health Department has said if you are not taking social distancing seriously, they will start to issue misdemeanor charges. And you could have your business taken away or your church closed up for a period of time if you are not following the rules. And the mayor, who will be on with us in a little bit, we'll ask him about this. He's come out and asked only one family member from here on out should do the shopping. Do not take two members into a Kroger or a Target or a Super Low, wherever you're going to shop. Only one family member per family should be shopping. The dashboard, we've reached the million mark. We're at 1,001,305 cases, 52,074 deaths, believe this or not. So it has to be territories, Brett, is the best way I can figure it. We got 195 countries.
I don't know,
Dave. And we got 197 areas now that are affected. It actually went up one from yesterday. In Shelby County, 638 cases. That is up from 497 yesterday. We have 5 deaths now in Shelby County in the state. 3,194 cases, 29 have perished. In terms of some crazy numbers here, the state of Tennessee has now got 9,400 jobless claims from just the last week and a half, 12,500 in Shelby County. And in America, there are now 6.6 million unemployment claims. 6.6 million. I want to say there were 300,000 or 400,000 unemployed when January came around. It's amazing. In the United States now, 235,747. We've doubled any other country with legitimate numbers anyway, and 5,624 have passed away. These numbers are just scary and gruesome.
They are, Dave. 10 million in jobless claims the last 2 weeks, 6.4 this week, 3.6 or so last week. It is horrible. My top story, I'm going to go to sports. Will Wade is still the coach at LSU, and I really don't know how. Scott Woodward, the AD at LSU, says he's staying with Will Wade for now. The Scheme, it debuted on HBO. This may be a good time for a scandal. I said a few weeks ago, or a couple times during all this, that you don't probably want to be in a scandal, but it's hard to crack through the front page with anything. Really, even in the sports pages, it's hard to crack through. So maybe Will Wade's timing this one right. He could be grabbing more headlines than he's grabbing right now. Always exciting at LSU. They're not averse to a little scandal down on the bayou. They got it with Will Wade. He may not go to the NCAA tournament next year with LSU.
Well, actually, there's not a scandal, but another news of note from another LSU coach, Ed Orgeron, after I think it's 23 or 24 years of marriage to a woman he met at the Liberty Bowl here when he was an assistant at Syracuse. He filed for divorce from his wife after this dream season. His marriage has come to an end.
They went to the White House and got the GAT, and now they're getting a divorce.
Yeah. I had in my notes yesterday, we never got to it, I watched The Scheme. I watched it when it first came out. I really hadn't planned it. I stumbled on it right at the very beginning. Christian Dawkins, who, of course, was the target of the FBI to begin with, and then they tried to make him an informant. I don't know if he was the one that put this together, but it's HBO Sports that ended up doing it. And I think we all know how incredible HBO Sports is with all of their specials and their journalism. And all you have to do is look at Real Sports. And it makes Will Wade and Sean Miller look so guilty and so bad. And it makes the FBI look terrible. And the Southern District of New York, the federal aspect of that really were the ones that were going to try these crimes and have had like a 90 to 95% success rate. This was bungled. They really tried to entrap Christian Dawkins, who really didn't want to do it. Christian Dawkins admits right off the bat that that he was paying players. That in fact it's been happening forever. Jay Billis, by the way, is in there at one point saying it's been happening forever, and so he's not
happening forever.
He's not trying to lie about it. He's just saying, yeah, that's what I did. The FBI, posing as a money guy, came in and wanted Christian Dawkins to change his model to involve coaches to give them the money to pay. And so basically it was the FBI that concocted the business model that they wanted Christian Dawkins to use. It's clearly, in my mind, when you watch this documentary, it's entrapment by the FBI. It was incredibly eye-opening, and I'm glad you brought that up because I meant to do that yesterday. Let's get the other side.
Hold on. The Southern District of New York, SDNY, they like to throw long on a lot of subject matter, and they don't always have a very good completion rate. Not top story, Drew.
Not top story of the day.
Well, this is actually kind of a good story, but the coronavirus obviously is the top story. Penny Hardaway gets his first recruit. So
had you ever heard of him before today?
I hadn't either. But it seems
I
like
hadn't either. I asked you if you had. Yeah.
Pardon?
I asked you, had you ever heard of him before today?
No. But then again, I'm not exactly a recruiting guru. There were a lot of schools after his senior year here that wanted to get with him. He's 6'9", but he doesn't even weigh 200 pounds. He came from a very small town in Georgia, Lincolnton, which I've never heard of before. And then he went to a school which I've never heard of before, a junior college called USC Salkehatchie. And even his coach says, he's undernourished. He's never had 3 meals a day. He came from sort of an impoverished area, but he is a 6'9" forward who can block shots like crazy. He's a defensive monster, they say, only getting better and better. He was a late bloomer, and there were a lot of big-time schools that were in on him in the end, and that is the first guy. Now, does that mean that Cisse, who's sort of in the same kind of mold as this guy, would not reclassify and stay another year at Lausanne? Possibly.
You can't
I
get
have
enough.
no idea.
You can't get enough rim protectors.
Well, that's true, and that's what this guy's going to be. 6'9", and his name is Ahmad Rand. Welcome to the club.
All right, my not top story. Lou Alcindor, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar has responded to Michael Jordan being voted at ESPN.com the greatest college basketball player ever. You know what his response was?
Well, Kareem usually tries to tell the truth. He might have said that Michael was really, really, really good, but not as good as me.
Much shorter than all that. LMAO. That's what he said. Laugh my you-know-what off.
Oh. Well, I got to agree with Kareem. I told you I think Kareem
I do too.
the greatest college basketball player I ever saw.
Well, hold it.
He changed the game.
Hold it, Drew.
What happened to Zion?
What happened to Zion? A year ago, you were saying Zion was the greatest you ever saw in your life.
I said he was one of the greatest. The greatest.
No.
That's
not what you said.
Yeah.
Not even close.
I said one
not
of the
even
greatest.
close. Dave.
The greatest.
All right, Dave, we got Mayor Jim Strickland coming up at 3:30, and I know we look forward to it.
We do, and a little program that I believe he's going to call us, Drew, just so that you know, and we should be hearing from him momentarily. I'll let you know this portion of the show is brought to you by Conway. Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, electric, and, of course, the Super Tune-Up. You know by now what the Super Tune-Up is. This is a 16-point tune-up evaluation of your system, a cleaning of your system. Inside, they take out all of the filters and replace those and make sure everything is working efficiently. Then they go outside to your outdoor units, and they take off your little screen there, and they go in and they get all the leaves and all the dirt and all the grime out of that outside unit, which you haven't looked at in years, and then they put a little Teflon coating on the blades to keep that thing protected from the hot Memphis summer suns. You get all of that for $69 plus a free leak check. But if you do it now and you call early, it's called the Early Bird Special, you'll get all of that 16-point tune-up, free leak check for $57. $57. Please jump on it. Call 684-3511. 384-3511. Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric. We take the quick break, and when we come back, His Honor, the Mayor of Memphis, Jim Strickland, is next on Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats.
Sports 56 mornings with Peter Edmiston and CJ Hertz. Weekdays from 7 to 10. Only on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7 FM.
Hey everybody, this is Coach Penny Hardaway. There's a comfort in being home, and to me, comfort food and family makes Memphis the place to be, along with having the best basketball fans in America. I like pulling into Corky's and getting one of their family party packs. How can you go wrong with pork, beans, slaw, sauce, and buns for only $5.99 a person? It is so easy. I can call ahead, order online, or just pop in. Tailgating can't get any easier. Tell them Penny sent you.
Encore flavor, Corky's barbecue.
Hilo Commercial Services can help protect your workplace and employees. Call Hilo Commercial Services today to help mitigate the dangerous effects of the coronavirus and the flu virus. Hilo offers complete deep cleaning and sanitizing services for schools, churches, medical facilities, office buildings, residential, warehouses, and more, all customized to your needs. Put safety first with Hilo Commercial Services. Call Philip right now at 901-277-6733. 901-277-6733. It's time for Hilo Commercial Services.
At First Bank Mortgage, their core purpose is to help you get to a better place. That better place may be a lower monthly payment, that vacation you thought was impossible, or getting into a home with a fenced backyard where your kids can play. To get into your better place, First Bank Mortgage makes decisions right here at home. Dedicated to helping you get to your better place, First Bank Mortgage. Call Daniel Mooney at 901-462-0145 today. NMLS 741022. Equal housing lender. Sports 56 would like to recognize local businesses that are out there still feeding and providing for the community via curbside pickup. Let's support local business with your business. These local businesses include East Memphis Ace Hardware, The Butcher Shop, El Toro Loco on Kirby, Bartlett Small Engines, Spirit Shop Liquor Store, Five Ash Roofing, Tactical Guns and Ammo, and Wolf Chase Lemon Brace. Sports 56 appreciates the support of local businesses always, but especially during this time. Thank you.
The landscape is so beautiful at Town Village Audubon Park.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. Looking for a great place to retire, but you still have a very active lifestyle? Then visit Town Village. Only requirements that you're 55 plus. Prices per month starting at $24.50. The gourmet chef welcomes you to visit our restaurant and bistro. Package includes 3 complimentary meals per day, maid service, free local transportation, monthly coffee club, theme dinner parties, lots of fun. Visit us and call Daniel or Bo at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home. Town Village Audubon Park.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stacks. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
We welcome you back, and we visited with Mayor Strickland 2 weeks ago. And, Dave, we're going to again today, and he has been at the vanguard of leadership for our city, and I know it's an honor for both of us to have him on and an honor for you to bring him on.
It truly is, and Mayor, I thank you so much for giving us, again, more of your time to update us what is going on. I want to go back a couple of days, if you don't mind, to when you made the announcement that you were going to close down a certain amount of parks and accesses to the park, and your tone, your expression reminded me a little bit of when I had done something wrong as a kid, and my dad was really trying to right that wrong. And it did seem, for the first time that I've ever seen you when you addressed the public, that you were perturbed and maybe worried.
I think those are both correct. I think most Memphians are taking this matter seriously, but not all Memphians, and that did perturb me and worries me. This is, we see what's happening in New York and some other big cities in the United States, but particularly New York, and it will never happen at the volume that's New York because they're so much bigger than us. But the percent-wise is what worries me, that if we don't take this seriously and don't distance ourselves, this virus will spread beyond the capability of our healthcare providers to take care of us. I'm going to give you a sobering number. We only have about 250 respirators in Shelby County for the hospitals, 250. That's not many patients that at all. And we're going to reach a point where we're going to have more than 250 patients who need respirators, and the doctors are going to have to make really tough decisions. We've seen it in Italy. We've got to take this seriously and stay apart from each other and preferably stay home.
Can we find any more of those respirators? I know I listened to Andrew Cuomo, the governor of New York City, basically saying, please, we'll take them and we'll pass them along as the disease progresses and goes to the west. Are there any chances to get more of those?
Yes, I can't quantify it. Governor Lee is working very hard at doing that, and it takes somebody actually on the governor's level to do that, because every state, every city, every hospital, they're battling for it. So Governor Lee is on it. He's ordered hundreds of them, and hopefully they're going to come in and help the situation out. And then, I didn't know Governor Cuomo said that, but that might be true. As it fades in other areas, maybe we can get theirs. The problem is, though, I wouldn't rely on that, because even though it's going to surge and it's going to hit a peak, the downward slope is going to go for weeks also. And I learned just recently you could be on a respirator for 2 or 3 weeks. It's not just 2 days and you're fine. It could be a while.
Mm-hmm. Mayor, going forward, other than doing nothing, staying at home, what is your admonition to people? Is there anything we could do with with helping nurses and doctors and healthcare workers from all aspects of our city. Is there anything that we can do? I mean, around 9/11, there was so many things that it felt like whether you really were doing it or not, you were kind of helping. You were pulling for the team. Is this one quite literally do nothing, stay the heck out of sight?
That is the best thing you can do for nurses and doctors is stay home and not spread the virus. And when you do have to go out, you got to go to the grocery store occasionally. You got to go to the drugstore, or you have to do some things. Or if you're a police officer, firefighter, you've got to actually work. Wear a mask if possible. Now, I know the first question is we don't have enough masks. Doctors are now saying that even if it's a handkerchief or some kind of clothing article around your face, a scarf. Now, it's not scientifically as good as one of these high-quality masks. It's just not. And I don't want you to think if you wear a scarf, you can be within 6 feet of people. No, you still need to stay 6 feet. So if you go to the grocery store, still stay 6 feet away from each other, but it might help a little bit. So that little bit may help enough to make a difference.
And I know you've asked citizens that if they do go shopping, one member of the family only. I know it's easier to have two, but one is the safest way with which you can do it. And back to those masks, I thought I read somewhere where the city was contracting with somebody for 1.3 million masks. Is that accurate?
That is accurate, but that may just be enough to satisfy the first responders, medical personnel, and people serving the public. We have not ordered enough just to pass out to the general public. Unfortunately, we just can't get a hold of that many. I want to go back to the one person at a grocery store. That suggestion actually came from a grocery store owner who said, part of the problem is, a husband and wife and their 3 kids all go to the grocery store together. Cut that out if possible. I understand if you're a single parent and you have to take a child to the grocery because you have no other alternative. But for those who do, please only send one person.
Mayor, we hear so many nightmare stories about New York City police officers. How are your men and women, the fine folks that make up Memphis PD, how are they on the health front? And could you foresee maybe needing reinforcement from the Tennessee National Guard for your police force?
I don't think there's no immediate plans on the National Guard at all, but every police force in the country has probably been affected by it, if not necessarily from somebody who's tested positive. But remember, if somebody tests positive, the health department gets the 50 or 100 people they've been in immediate contact with, and those people in contact are then put in quarantine. So, that's affected every workplace, including city government and police and fire. So people quarantined, even if they're not testing positive, because that's really important. That's how South Korea sort of did the best of any country. They tested everyone, and they isolated the ones who tested positive. They quarantined the ones who were in contact, and just did that over and over and over. And that's how they've gotten on the downside. So we are planning for a reduction in the available force, both firefighters and police officers and EMS. So far, it hasn't negatively affected the service, but there's going to come a time where we may have to cut back on such as, we may already have cut back on responding to every single auto accident, a non-injury accident. I can't remember if we have or haven't yet, but that's it's things like that we may have to cut back on just to save personnel.
Well, I do know this. The Today Show this morning reported that 15% of the New York City Police Department is either sick or in quarantine. 15%.
So sad.
So if we do follow along those lines, because those are percentages, not actual numbers, then that is something I guess you somehow have to prepare for.
And then think about the hospitals are doing the same thing because they're having doctors and nurses become ill. So it's just we've got to be so thankful to the healthcare professionals and the first responders who are interacting with sick people almost on a daily basis. And the fact that they're willing to go do that is amazing, and just is a testament to the honorable people that we have in our community.
It sure is.
Since you mentioned
Sure
the
is,
doctors and the nurses, I saw where Governor Lee said we are short 7,000 hospital beds, and I see that you have a press conference, or somebody in the city does if it's not you, set for tomorrow to talk about a 1,000-bed temporary hospital that will be put up somewhere. Will that be enough, or will you have to continue to add to that?
I think we'll have to have more than that, because if you think about it, if we need 7,000 in the state, we're probably more than 1/7 of that need here. And they're looking at several locations, and the governor, the state government is in charge of that. The Army Corps of Engineers is actually in charge of building it out. Governor Lee has selected an empty shopping center on Jackson Avenue as Phase 1. There will be a Phase 2, hopefully announced tomorrow, and we'll probably have a Phase 3 and 4.
How are you coordinating with Memphis City Schools for students that are not in school right now and not having access to lunches? How are you coordinating with Memphis City Schools?
We have an overall joint task force that Mayor Harris and I co-chair, and there's several different subcommittees, and one of them is on food. And so we have a absolutely joined at the hip partnership with Shelby County Schools, Shelby County Government, us, MIFA, the Memphis Mid-South Food Bank, and other folks, and we're thousands of young people every day are being given their free lunch, and along with that, I think Shelby County Schools has also thrown in some homework and exercises, the academic exercises the young people can do. Unfortunately, with over 100,000 young people in the Shelby County school system, they just don't have the money to give everyone a laptop like some of the private schools are doing, homeschooling basically now. Shelby County Schools doesn't have that luxury, so they're having to just do it on a paper basis, which is really tough. But thousands of young people are getting fed. And you mentioned earlier what people could do. They could also donate to MIFA and the Mid-South Food Bank, because food we take it for granted, but the thousands of people losing their jobs right now in a month may not be able to afford food. So we've really directed people to donate there.
You came on the air a couple of weeks ago with us and talked a little bit about the economy and the businesses all over the place that might not come back and that might soon be closing. I saw a report where 12,500 jobless claims were made in Shelby County just this past week and a half. How are we doing economically? What can be done there?
Well, the hospitality industry has just been devastated. That's hotels, restaurants, tourist attractions. It's crawled to nothing. I do think some restaurants are barely holding on through takeout, and I hope people continue to try to do that. I heard some commercials when I was on hold just a second ago on your station here. I hope people do still buy from takeouts. The number one thing to do is to file for that unemployment. Right now, it's a fairly low limit per week. It's like $270 per week. But with the federal stimulus package that was just passed, that will go up. But that's all coordinated through the state. On a local level, we're working with the Greater Memphis Chamber and the Downtown Memphis Commission and the EDGE, which handles economic development, all working together for loan programs, for assistance for small businesses, as much as we can afford to do it. We don't have the resources the federal government does, but I do think that federal stimulus package also has some. But so sometimes the local effort is just connecting the small businesses to the state and federal resources. And one of our sub-task force is headed up by one of your former colleagues, Kyle Veazey, who's now working here at the City Hall, and he's working with Beverly Robertson at the Chamber to try to hook these businesses up.
We had the gentleman who owns the Germantown and the Collierville Commissary, Walker Taylor, a couple of days ago, who was trying to figure out how to navigate to get some of that federal stimulus money. Are there any websites or are there any places that somebody could go to or call that could navigate people through? Because I understand it is rather complex to figure out how you can do it to get your money.
I've been told that the Greater Memphis Chamber's website has that, and they also have people ready to call to be able to handle that. I've not actually done it myself, but I think the Greater Memphis Chamber has those resources there, and it is complicated. In fact, the city governments for cities over 500,000 people are getting money direct from the federal stimulus program, and it is hard to understand, in what form that's going to be and when that's going to be. Regulations still haven't been put out. We're hoping we'll get them tomorrow. It's very difficult, but there are people out there to help, particularly the chamber.
Last thing for the mayor of our city, Jim Strickland. Mayor, what is your day like? When do you start? When do you end? I know in crisis there really is no set day. What does Jim Strickland's day look like?
Well, the text and the email start flowing at about 4:30 in the morning. I'm not saying I'm wide-eyed and bushy-tailed at 4:30 and 5 answering those. I'm still coming to the office. I'm leaving at 7:30. I get to the office a little earlier, before 8. We have an 8 o'clock joint task force conference call with the county government, city government, the hospitals, MLG&W, MATA, and we go over for an hour in detail all these subcommittee reports, trying to get us all on the same page. Germantown, Bartlett are joining. Now West Memphis has joined. We're hoping to get people from DeSoto County and Fayette and Tipton to join. So we're all on the same page. And then after that 9 o'clock call, everyone goes off and does their work. And then at 4 o'clock, the city-only team gets together on a conference call and reports back what we've done and how we coordinate. It's it is 99% of my day is coronavirus. There's unfortunately a little time for other matters. We do have. I thank the healthcare workers and first responders. I also want to thank the 311 operators here at City Hall. They have just been bombarded with questions, not only normal complaints like potholes and missed garbage pickup, but anything involving the coronavirus or people violating the order. We have code enforcement officers going out and checking these different companies, these retail establishments that should be closed. So it's just added to the frontline workers are carrying a huge burden, and I really appreciate them for doing it.
Mayor, I can't thank you enough for being on with us. We appreciate it. Maybe we can update in 2 or 3 weeks one more time with you, and hopefully we'll maybe be on the other side of the surge at that point. Thanks again.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Thank you, Mayor.
Bye.
That is Mayor Jim Strickland. Wow, sobering stuff. Not enough of anything. Not enough hospital beds. Certainly not enough breathing apparatus for those of us that may need those. Wow. And we're just going to have to try to figure it out and hope that we can get more of that equipment.
Bottom of the first, Dave. Boy, and it's a long slog.
You are not kidding. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll put a wrap on this very first hour on this Thursday of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats.
Search Sports 56 on Facebook and give us a like. And follow us on Twitter at Sports 56 WHBQ.
You can get podcasts of all our daily shows and all of our biggest interviews delivered right to your inbox just by signing up at sports56whbq.com. It's the best way to stay informed on what's going on in sports, and it's brought to you by Surfacescapes Concrete Floors. They'll get your pool deck looking new and beautiful this year, and it'll be up to 20 degrees cooler on your feet. Call 901-888-5000 or go to surfacescapes.com. Get full shows and the best interviews from Sports 56 delivered straight to your inbox. Sign up at sports56whbq.com.
The Home Depot is here to help, and we have many ways to help. You can download our app or go online to find the essential products and information you need quickly. You can order what you need online and we can have it waiting for you at the store. Or we can even deliver over 1 million items free. And we have thousands of how-to videos for the projects and repairs you need to make. We're here to help. The Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, U.S. Tax Shield can help you take back control. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Our team of tax attorneys can stop collections and get you protected. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the BBB, so call 800-466-9625. U.S. Tax Shield, 800-466-9625.
With all the uncertainty in the world, feeling safe at home has never been more important. That's why you need to know about Simply Safe. Order online, and your home is protected 24/7 with emergency dispatch for break-ins and more. Just 50 cents a day. It's really incredible. Head to simplysafecolin.com. Free shipping as well, and a 60-day risk-free trial. Go to simplysafecolin.com.
First Bank is here to help you, whether you're a business looking for a loan to expand or refinance an existing one, a homeowner looking for a mortgage or home equity line, a consumer wanting to finance your dream car, or wanting a competitive rate on your CD deposits. Let First Bank try to handle your banking needs. Stop into one of First Bank's 3 local branches today, 6482 Poplar Avenue, just east of International Paper, 8398 Highway 64 across from Wolf Chase, and 6280 Highway 64 in Oakland. Or check them out online at firstbankonline.com. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Rounding out hour number 1 on this Thursday afternoon. Tomorrow, Bruce Marshall will join us at 3:30 and at 4 o'clock. Bill Dries, legendary news reporter, newsman, reporter. I said that, didn't I? He joins us from the Daily Memphis at 4 o'clock. Peter Edmiston will join us about 4:30 on NBA. Andy Schiffman in his 5 o'clock spot tomorrow. If you didn't catch all of the mayor, you can go to sports56whbq.com and hear that, and we will replay it in its entirety about 5:30, Dave. And it was illustrative, and it was matter of fact, as he has been through this. I think it was mostly jocular. Earlier we got a text at 67129, the First Bank text line. Hey, do you have any good news for us? When we do, we're going to give it to you. But right now, we've got to be pragmatic. We've got to be realistic. And when it's time to be optimistic, we will be. We're not trying to be pessimistic. We're just trying to give you the facts. But when there is optimism, I promise you we're going to share it.
A texter on that First Bank text line, 67129, who asked if FedEx could be involved in more ventilators and masks. And for all I know, they could be doing that on a national basis. I know I read some report, and I don't know if that came from Fred Smith or if it came from Donald Trump, the president, but they are involved in helping out in a lot of different areas, and I'm sure that if there were ways for logistically Memphis to get more ventilators or to get more masks or anything of that nature, you bet your bottom dollar FedEx would be involved in that. Somebody also wanted to know about getting license plate renewed. I would say that at this point those offices are closed, just like the Real ID. And I don't know what they'll end up doing with that, but I'm guessing they will extend your deadlines for both of those different areas, Real ID and in your case, in expired license plates. You did hear the mayor say they're not even, if there's a minor accident, there's not even going to be police involvement at this point. We got much bigger fish to fry, as they would say.
The license has officially been pushed back an entire year, so you don't have to get it till October of 2021.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's good. Thank you, Drew. That's great news. And Dave, I wasn't the time today to ask it, but it's got to be both nationwide and all the large cities. That in every large city, we're all fighting the same thing, some more than others on the crime front. I wonder if the numbers have gone down on everything else with everybody staying at home. And, boy, if there was ever a time to practice the best citizenry, it is now.
That is the truth. Now, I can't remember I've been watching so much news, Brett. I've been doing Zooms, and I've been watching news.
Zoom,
and
baby,
I can't
Zoom.
remember where I watched it, but it's in the teens, the percentage. And I want to say it was like 17% in most major cities. Crime is down, and let's face it, when
let's find our blessing somewhere.
When everybody is inside, first of all, they're protecting their stuff. That's one, and two, if you're out, you're going to get caught a lot easier. So, I think for the most part, crime will be down throughout this pandemic.
Boy, it was great to hear the various coordination with the alphabet soup of agencies, and sometimes that can be a menagerie in and of itself. But sounds like Mayor Harris and Mayor Strickland are working very well with all the other officials in the area, and I was glad to hear of the meals for someone, especially for students that would be used to that this time of year. We sure don't want anybody going without and going forward with the unemployment hit that we are going to take, that we are taking. There's going to be that, and it's just no need for that. And all of the food banks, whether it's MIFA or whatever label of food banks out there, they have to be being tapped into pretty good. And we know normally the time of year that they get hit and kind of have their campaign. That's one of the things I'm so worried about coming out of this, is just what it's going to do years from now on the charitable front, and we are such a charitable town.
Well, and that was one of the things, and I know that was a great question. You asked, what more can we do besides just social distancing? And the mayor did say donate, and the food bank was one of the places he mentioned. If you have the wherewithal, and look, so many of us have had our jobs, a percentage of our pay cut, and it's understandable that the pay cuts have occurred. But if that has happened to you and you can't afford it, please don't feel bad. But if you do have the wherewithal and you really want to help, you can give. You can give to the YMCA. They were one of the people that stepped up to try to do the feeding of school children when one of the Shelby County schools food preparers came down with the coronavirus, and they had to end that operation for a period of time. You can donate through your church or your synagogue or your mosque, whatever religion you are, because I know a lot of those institutions have set up funds that you can give to, that they will give to whatever is needed to fighting this pandemic. So there are different outlets, whatever you're most comfortable in doing. If you can afford it, and we understand if you can't, but if you can, that's another way to do it.
It will take a long time to dig out of this, and we've only just begun. Hour one is in the books. When we come back to start hour two, Elliot Perry, Tiger legend, Grizzlies, and NBA standout. He starts hour number two with us. You're listening to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats on AM 560, 87.7, and 96.1.
Hilo Commercial Services can help protect your workplace and employees. Call Hilo Commercial Services today to help mitigate the dangerous effects of the coronavirus and the flu virus. Hilo offers complete deep cleaning and sanitizing services for schools, churches, medical facilities, office buildings, residential, warehouses, and more, all customized to your needs. Put safety first with Hilo Commercial Services. Call Philip right now at 901-277-6733. 901-277-6733. It's time for Hilo Commercial Services.
This is CJ Hurt from Sports 56 Mornings. During this coronavirus pandemic, many of you are spending all day at home, and we remind you that you can stay in touch and connected through Sports 56. Turn us on your radio, computer, phone, or smart speaker and stay up to date and connected. Meanwhile, keep practicing social distancing and remember to wash your hands often, and hopefully before long, we can get back to some sort of normalcy. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay connected with Sports 56 and Sports56WHBQ.com.
Farmers Insurance knows that there's a not-so-subtle difference between the sound of a car hitting your rear bumper and the sound of a clown car hitting your rear bumper.
Whoa, 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 whoa! Sorry about that.
We call that a three-ring fender bender, and we covered it. Talk to a farmer's agent.
They know a thing or two because they've seen a thing or two.
Call Chad Gatlin at 901-235-1176 or get a fast quote at memphisfarmers.com.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Underwritten by Farmers Truck Fire Insurance Exchanges and Affiliates. Products not available in every state.
The Home Depot is here to help, and we have many ways to help. You can download our app or go online to find the essential products and information you need quickly. You can order what you need online, and we can have it waiting for you at the store. Or we can even deliver over 1 million items free. And we have thousands of how-to videos for the projects and repairs you need to make. We're here to help. The Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Sports 56 would like to recognize local businesses that are out there still feeding and providing for the community via curbside pickup. Let's support local business with your business. These local businesses include East Memphis Ace Hardware, The Butcher Shop, El Toro Loco on Kirby, Bartlett Small Engines, Spirit Shop Liquor Store, Five Ash Roofing, Tactical Guns and Ammo, and Wolf Chase Lemon Brace. Sports 56 appreciates the support of local businesses always, but especially during this time. Thank you.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. It's time to go inside Hoop City with Grizzlies radio analyst Elliot Perry. Inside Hoop City is sponsored by Campbell Clinic. Each Thursday, the former Tiger great and 10-year NBA player joins Sportstime with Wolo and Stats to talk Tigers and Grizzlies and all things Hoop City. Now, here's Elliot Perry with Wolo and Stats.
We welcome you back to start hour number 2, and we will talk basketball with Elliot Perry, NBA star, Tiger basketball legend, and community legend. What you did last weekend, Elliot Perry, we were just talking about what we can do other than just staying at home and kind of hunker down. That's really kind of what most of the officialdom wants us to do. But you got out there in the community last week, as you have done for years, and Elliot, you do it with very little publicity. You don't want a lot, but it finds you because it's such good work, and we appreciate you so much. Thank you for that work, and thank you for joining us.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Yeah, it was a really good time. We enjoyed ourselves, but more importantly, we were able to help a lot of families. We did 2 events, one last Friday and then one Tuesday. So we served a little bit over 550 families with 14-day boxes. And so, I just appreciate everybody who got involved with it. I mentioned Justice Winslow and his mom, Robin Davis. They got involved with wanting to do something in Memphis and, just jump right in and piggyback on what my family and I did. And then since that time, we've had other people jump in. We had an anonymous donor jumped in with an additional $10,000, and so we have some organizations that are going to be able to host several other events like that, food distributions over the next couple of weeks.
Well, that is going to be needed, and the fact that you're giving 2 weeks supplies is just it makes my heart smile. That's all I can say, because that really is needed for these families. We are getting some breaking news from the governor of the state of Tennessee after an executive order urged Tennesseans to stay at home amid this pandemic. Bill Lee now will mandate the action. He just released a new statement saying that he would be signing an executive order that effective immediately. The governor is saying that now stay at home, safer at home, social distancing, being in your home, that it is a mandate and it will last through April the 14th. So for the next 12 days, it is now mandated by the governor to stay at home unless you are essential personnel. So this is no longer an encouragement, and there were several people now. The state of Tennessee becomes the vast majority of states that have mandated this. And there was a lot of pressure from many national news agencies yesterday that were not happy that this had been an urging and not a mandate. But now the governor has made that official. And Elliot, all we can continue to say is it is critical that we follow what the doctors and the leaders are saying, which is social distance, stay at home.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I think from a lot of the national news yesterday, I was, just been watching CNN, and obviously Tennessee was right there in the midst of it, with one of those states who haven't mandated the kind of stay-at-home policy. And so I'm glad Governor Lee, did that. I talked with Congressman Cohen last night, and we just kind of went back and forth. And I mentioned to him that this is a great opportunity to show leadership and be really proactive in terms of doing something like that. And so today, that's good to hear. Obviously, we know we don't have as many cases as some of the other states, but we don't want as many cases either. So it's the perfect time to do something like that.
Elliot, how is Justice Winslow? We haven't been able to see him on the court. We're glad he's part of the community, but whenever we get back to NBA, is he going to be able to get back on the floor?
Yeah, we haven't really talked basketball, at all. I mean, I'm assuming that he might. Again, I would probably defer some of those questions to Grizzlies front office people. I mean, and coaches and trainers. I mean, they know much better than I do. I mean, in terms of his progression. So, but I think my hope is that he is. I think he is a good fit for what we have in those young guys. A good defensive player. He can knock down shots, he can get to the basket. It just gives us an additional athletic guy out on the floor. Yeah, we just look excited about him, not just in the short term, but the long term plan of Grizzlies.
Oh yeah,
I would bet that if we have a continuation of the NBA season, and I do not profess to know any way or anything about when that could possibly happen. But if we do, it would seem to me we'd be healthy for the first time, right? Winslow would be able to play. Jaren Jackson Jr. would be able to play. Dylan Brooks would be able to play. Everybody would be.
But everybody's going to be healthy league-wide.
Yeah, everybody healthy league-wide. But, I mean, that that's good. I mean, I think that would be good for if we do resume play. That would be good for, the league. It would be good for each individual team to know that they could possibly go into, the latter part of the season plus the playoffs healthy.
I want to go back for 1 second to your food program, because I just think that is so needed. If somebody, and you mentioned that you had gotten $10,000 more, but if somebody had chosen, because we were talking about how people can donate, where they should donate to, if somebody wanted to get involved in your program, EP, what would they do? How do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, I mean, I hate to call it my program. I think we were just trying to do something as a family, and it snowballed a little bit, and so I'm more. I think it's better to deal with the food bank. I mean, I think maybe you want to specify that to go somewhere, but we just decided to do it with Memphis Athletic Ministries, which is MAM, for a couple of reasons. One is one of those organizations we've supported for a long time. We realize what they do in the community on a day in and day out basis as an after school program. And so, and also just being transparent, I'm on the board of MAM as well. But it's one of those programs where we have 8 different sites, 4 public community centers that we took over from the city when the city was going to close those community centers down. We took those community centers over and running program out of those 4 community centers. And then we have 4 additional sites where we partner with other churches. Like we did with Leewood Baptist Church, we have the Grizzly Center over on Ball Road, Olivet, and then we partner with MLK Prep, which is old Frazier High School. We put a site there this past summer, last summer rather. And so, it's just, we realize we're in communities where families have a tremendous need, and so we wanted our families to know that they would be okay, and not just our families that we serve through MAM, but also the other people in that community. I mean, if you guys would have seen the amount of cars that came out those last 2 days, it was tremendous. And we still had to turn away at least, 50, 60 cars after we ran out of food.
And that hurts to have to turn down anyone, but a 2-week supply that goes fast, Elliot, because it's already been 3 weeks that we've been without sports and without the Grizzlies. I mean, it goes by quickly.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it goes by quickly. But the good thing about it, those stats, Dave, is that at least you have something, and you don't have to make those choices. I mean, I one thing that stuck out with me when we did it at the Grizzly Center, the first time we did it was an elderly lady who came up there. She was, her words were, I didn't know what I was going to do for these next 2 weeks, and so it strikes you that. People have to make decisions, even though we're not dealing with that on a day-to-day basis. But people do have to make decisions if they're on a fixed income. They either have to, whether it's getting their medicine, whether it's, paying their rent or light bill or whatever it is. People have to make decisions, and sometimes, you're not eating the best of foods, or you have to make a decision not to eat sometimes. And so, those things I'm more grateful for.
I'm just grateful of the culture of the city, the philanthropy that goes on in the city, and honestly, that has always been a part of the Grizzlies' DNA. I'm going to go back to Michael Heisley and Andy Dolich and Mike Golub, where they definitely had charities that were involved that came through. I think they were called Grizzlies Charities, and so it has always been a part of the NBA organization in Memphis that there was a small portion of proceeds that were always going to be earmarked for charities through the NBA team, and that I just have always loved that was a part of the culture.
Yeah, and that's not just unique to us. I think there are a lot of cities, most cities have the NBA franchise are a part of, certain things that some of it is mandated by the NBA. I mean, it's in partnership with the NBA, like NBA Cares or Read to Achieve or some of those things that we know more about just kind of publicly. But all, NBA teams, particularly Memphis, has always been tremendously charitable, and I say that, not just tongue in cheek. I mean, being chair of the Grizzlies Foundation, I mean, there's a tremendous amount of resources that go through the foundation back out into the community. And like I say, you guys know how emotional I am or how much I support mentoring. And so, that's a part of those resources as well. And so, yeah, I mean, Grizzlies have always been a solid contributor to the community.
They really have, Elliot. From day one, Mike Heisley and now Robert Parra being very, very good philanthropically with charitable contributions around town at a time of need. When we get back to basketball, Elliot, I think we've asked this every week. How much time will it be a complete reboot, maybe a full training camp, or 2 weeks, 3 weeks? What exactly would they need before a first competitive game to be played? And what does an older player need? You played in the NBA a long time. Those bodies are different. Younger player might snap back a little fast, but everybody's starting over.
Yeah, they're starting over. I mean, if you look at just normal training camp, just in general, it's about 2 weeks, before your first preseason game. And so I'm just using that as a litmus test to say 2 weeks. I mean, I don't know for sure. But I know that, once things are released, the NBA probably is not going to want to have a long, drawn-out time where they, guys have to go back to like I'm using quotation marks, training camp. So, I'm just using 2 weeks as a litmus test.
Obviously, this is all speculation. Nobody knows. And anybody who tells you they know, they're lying.
Yeah, I definitely don't know.
But Mark Cuban even admitted today he doesn't know. And a few days ago, he was betting the under for late May, and today he just said, "Man, I don't know."
Well, I can tell you that's not going to happen for sure now, considering that we're, pretty much urged by the president to stay inside till April 30th. But if we do come back, and Lord knows we all pray that that's the case. Would you? They got to, or they will really try to play in the Grizzlies' case, 5 more regular season games, because that apparently is the benchmark for them to get their television revenues from their local packages. They want to play 70 games. So I've got the feeling there would be some way to get 5 more regular season games in. I don't think the Grizzlies could miss out on the playoffs if we only had 5 games with a 3.5 game lead. Basically win a game and you're probably in. So,
Right.
if that's the case, how would you prefer to get all these playoffs in, make sure that all 8 teams from the West and 8 teams from the East gets in? Would you be willing for the first couple of rounds to do single elimination, or should it be best of 3? How do you think it would be the fairest way, keeping in mind time and constraints? How would the fairest way work out?
Yeah, it's a tough one on that single elimination piece. I mean, that's just, I can't. I don't foresee that. I mean, like I said, I could be totally wrong.
That's not baseball and basketball single.
Yeah. So maybe it's dropping back to the kind of the old days when the first round where it was the best 3 out of 5, something like that. That could be, that could be realistic.
What do you prefer, though? Would you prefer 4 out of 7 or 3 out of 5?
Oh yeah, you always prefer 4 out of 7. I mean, just the fact that you never know what can happen in the series. The more games you have, the more opportunities you have to, try. But the one thing about the 3 out of 5, I mean, that's always a dangerous series too, particularly for the team that's favored. Sometimes, I mean, sometimes you mess around and lose that first one, and now you're really pressed against the wall.
It'll be fascinating to me because I'm not certain we'd have enough time. I mean, let's just say that you can start practicing at the end of May,
right.
And you're going to try to get those 5 games in there. It's July before you even start the playoffs. I can't imagine that you could do best 3 out of 5 throughout the rounds.
That's getting late. The 5 games they would want to get in would be Western Conference games. The Grizzlies had 2 remaining with New Orleans, home and road, and they had 2 remaining with Portland, both on the road. So that would probably be 4 of the 5. I'm going to say the other one would be somebody from the West, maybe at Denver, at Houston. That's a lot of road games for the Grizzlies if it gets back then. But, Elliot, I'll take it however it is.
Yeah, I'll take it. Yeah, I'll take it however it is. I mean, and I think too that we still have to think. We don't know for certain is, do you push the start of the next year's NBA season back, and so now do you make that a norm? We talked a little bit about that last week, that the first game would be on Christmas Day. So are you thinking about, okay, now let's go ahead and do what we do, give guys a break, and then we push the start of the season back to December, and then we just make that a norm. And so, if that's the case, then you probably could get a few more games in.
Well, the one argument I've heard about that is that the players really want summer as their time off. But
no doubt about it.
I think they would adjust. They can find summer across the globe somewhere. They can go to Hawaii. They can go to the Bahamas. They can go to South America. They'll find a place.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that's always been the biggest, that is the biggest thing is that players have, but when it probably is like anything else, I mean, you just get used to something, and change is always hard, and so, I mean, we've seen it before that, something changes and it becomes a new norm, and then we don't think about it anymore. That's just part of the way it is.
That is the way it is. Elliot, thank you for your time today, and again, a lot of praise to you and all the groups you work with and what you're doing always in our community. Highlighted now, but you do it all the time, and we appreciate you. We appreciate you joining us today. Thank you, Elliot.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
You got it going inside Hoop City every Thursday with Elliot Perry, NBA star and Tiger star, and one of the treasures of the community for sure, isn't he, Dave?
Oh, he is.
We've known it forever.
We've really never brought it up with him, but in the coming weeks we certainly may. Do you know that he is one of the fine art collectors in not just the city or state, but in the country of African art? He's got his own collection that is supposed to be really superb. Yeah, I mean he is truly a Renaissance man. There is no doubt. I don't see. And again, all this is speculation, and I have no insight, but I just try to be logical about this. I don't see how you could play 3 out of 5 throughout the entire playoffs if you're going to start that late, especially if you're going to try to collect the rest of the regular season to get your local TV money, and and
I have no
as
problem
well
with
as
that.
I do, they are going to do everything they can to get those 70 games.
Look, we understand business, we understand finances, and I have no problem with them. I think that's very important. And Drew, you'll love this. It was early '80s. It was some goofy years where we had 2 out of 3 in the '80s, early in the playoffs, and then they got rid of that, and then they went to 3 out of 5, and they got rid of that because after the 8th-seeded Nuggets beat the 1-seeded Seattle Supersonics in '94. That was the end of that, and then everything went 4-7. But we could see 2 out of 3. I would take 2 out of 3 before I would take the elimination of the first round.
Oh, I would too. I would personally take single elimination for the first round or two if that got everybody in. I don't see how you could go back, play 70 games, and then just say to the 8th and the 7th seed, sorry guys, but you're
and to
a
5
victim.
and 6, yeah, and to all those teams, and it may very well be off-site games. It may not be played at FedEx Forum, or if it were the 1-seeded Lakers played at Staples, it could be at neutral sites. Dave, we got Tim Doolin coming up at 4:30 to talk baseball with us.
We do. I look forward to that, and the news yesterday about the cancellation of the Cubs and the Cards in London. We'll get the latest on baseball from our friend Tim Doolin. This hour of this program presented by Genesis of Olive Branch, home of the G90, the G80, the G70. That is some kind of car. Press the accelerator. It brings out the best in the car, and it brings out the best in the driver. I mean, you can be aggressive. They've got a cornering gear hold. Whatever that means, it means that you can take corners very, very quickly. It is beautiful looking, powerful braking, launch control, precise handling. Maybe the best way it was described to me by a salesman, it's a sports car with a back seat, and it is responsive. And safety beyond compare. That's the beauty of the technology. Not only does it perform, but it is all about safety. The G70, the G80, the G90, and the SUV. All you got to do is get down to where I think it's the standard for what a automobile dealership should be. That is Genesis of Olive Branch. You get really right on Lamar. It's Highway 78 when you get to Mississippi, close by, first exit, Craft Road, turn left, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Oh, by the way, this product not only is so technologically sound, it lasts forever. A 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty on every brand-new car. Please, go see Chris True and all the gang. You'll understand what I'm talking about. Test drive the Genesis at Genesis of Olive Branch. We are back
Dave,
in a minute.
we got a little bit of time. We got a little bit of time. We don't want to fire the break too soon. Mark Cuban this morning kind of revised those late May on that over and under. He revised that, and I thought he revised it in the most simple, basic terms that we kind of all are in. Nobody knows. And you said last week you thought he was hasty in betting the under.
Well, I said I would take the over. Is what I said.
Yeah.
Give me the over in a big way. Yeah, there was just no way that would work. Not when you've got the president who's extended the stay in place till April 30th, and basically so you're not even free to even consider doing anything like that until May 1st, and then we have to see how many folks will be allowed to mass gather, and then you got to test everybody, and then you got to say, well, is it worth really perspiring or bleeding on one another this early in the game without a vaccine, without medicine that we know of yet? We're still in some parts of the country in the midst of it. You could be through with it in New York, but not done with it in Los Angeles. So
yeah, and I know we have to be safe, but when do we ever on anything have to bat 1,000 for things to resume? I mean, if we're waiting until we bat 1,000, we may wait forever.
We're not waiting for that, Brett. We're waiting for medicine. We're waiting for a vaccine that's been tested for a year and that works. That's what we're waiting for, and then maybe medicine in between. there's
tested
somebody,
for a year is a long time.
I was trying to remember. I was on the Zoom Rotary thing that I did today. There was a gentleman who had, I think he was in the medical field, who said they are trying right now to develop what is called a bridge medicine. Until the vaccine is in place, or until they have medicine that they know works, what they're trying to do is to develop what we have for the flu. Remember the medicine some people use? It's over the counter, I believe. It's called Thermaflu. They're trying to find a Thermaflu for coronavirus. Maybe if that comes in and it tests out positive, then you feel a little bit safer. I'm not sure anybody feels safe until there's a vaccine.
And then we hit November, December, when we're more indoor sports oriented, and that's more respiratory ailment time of year, and into January and February. And if we had another surge, if we had more hot spots and had to shut down again, I just think we are in for potentially a really long haul. We're in for a visit with Tim Doolin and talking baseball in a second, though, aren't we, Dave?
We will be. I guess the last thing on this is, and I certainly don't have your answer, but when there was war, for instance, Wimbledon was off for 3 or 4 or 5 years before they picked it back up. I'm not saying that's happening in this country, but it could be that we miss a whole year.
Yeah, Augusta National missed 3 years, several big events, a lot of bowl games at that time missed several years. College football played on, but bowl games, some of the bowl games didn't, and some college football didn't during World War II. So it could be an extended stay. There's a chance this time next year that we've missed 2 years in a row of the NCAA tournament.
Well, the bottom line is this, and we're certainly not saying that this is going to happen. We are saying that there has been precedent before where sports has stopped for multiple years.
It just has to.
That's right. And I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I could see that until we have a vaccine, that life doesn't become normal again, and maybe you miss a whole season of sports. No Major League Baseball.
And I don't know what the batting average has got to be, but it's got to be way up there for us to assume that risk and for these teams to assume that liability of being the host. Tim Doolin, he's up next to talk baseball with us, and we'll talk with him about all the games missed and when possibly baseball could be back. You're listening to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats on AM 560, 87.7, and 96.1.
Spend your lunch with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy on Sports 56 middays, delivered by FedEx. Weekdays from 10 to 1 on Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7.
The folks at Homer Skelton Hyundai want to say thank you. Thank you, Memphis, for another spectacular year. They set records, but I can understand why. You think about the product. Where else do you get a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty? That's what you get on every new car at Homer Skelton Hyundai. Oh, and thank you again for the 11th straight year, the #1 certified pre-owned car dealership in all of Memphis. It starts with that product, but then it goes to the shopper assurance. Where else do you go where you get transparent pricing, flexible test drive, take the car for a couple of days if you want, streamlined buying process? You're not going to be there all day, in and out. And then, and I have not seen this anywhere else, the 3-day worry-free exchange. You buy a new car, if you've got any buyer's remorse, you've got 3 days to change your mind. Just get on Lamar, take it into Mississippi, the first exit's Craft Road, turn left, and go see Chris True and all the gang at Homer Skelton Hyundai.
I'm Dr. George Flynn, president of Flynn Broadcasting. On behalf of everyone associated with Flynn Broadcasting, we want to wish you good health, especially in this coronavirus situation. You can be the hero. All you have to do is practice social distancing. That's right, 6 feet away from other people, and you'll be part of the solution, not part of the problem. Also, if you feel ill and have a cough or fever, get tested so you'll know if you have coronavirus or not. I'm Dr. George Flynn with Flynn Broadcasting. We'll keep you connected while you maintain your physical social distance. So keep listening to this Flynn Broadcasting station, because we're in this fight with you, and we're going to help you stay connected.
Hi, this is Greg Gaston from Sports 56 Middays. During this coronavirus pandemic, many of you are spending all day at home, and we remind you that you can stay in touch and connected through Sports 56. Turn us on your radio, computer, phone, or smart speaker, and stay up to date and connected with the community. Keep practicing social distancing, and remember to wash your hands often. And hopefully, before too long, we can get back to some sort of normalcy. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay connected with Sports 56 and Sports56WHBQ.com.
Sports 56 would like to recognize local businesses that are out there still feeding and providing for the community via curbside pickup. Let's support local business with your business. These local businesses include Central Barbecue, Sunrise, Sweetgrass, Humdinger's, Germantown Commissary, Jason's Deli, Corky's, East Coast Wings, Moe's, and Soulfish Cafe. Sports 56 appreciates the support of local businesses always, but especially during this time. Thank you.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
We talk baseball with our friend Tim Doolin at this time on Thursdays for a long time during the baseball season. I'm ready to talk some actual hits, runs, and errors. It's going to be a while. It was supposed to be opening day in St. Louis today, the rare Birds versus Birds, Orioles against the Cardinals. Drew and I were going up after work tomorrow to see Saturday and Sunday games, but like everybody else, we're going to have to miss those. And it's a shame, Tim Doolin, but it's where we are, and there's nothing we can do about it. We all have to sit and wait and be patient, and once we get back to our games, enjoy them more now than ever.
I think that's what's going to be the case. Is people are going to be so excited about getting out and enjoying sports, and obviously sports of all kinds, I think, are just a great therapy and great remedy for a lot of issues that we have going on. And never really experienced anything like this before, but we'll get through it.
It's all timer, isn't it?
It really is, and it's like, I was talking to somebody the other day, and you really don't realize all the things that we have and we take for granted until they're kind of taken away like we are now. And it's just kind of mind-boggling.
I said yesterday, a friend of mine that went to SMU and was in school during the famous NCAA death penalty for their football program, he said, now you know how we felt at SMU, because it's like the whole sports world got the death penalty.
Yeah, for sure. There's no question about it. And it's like, funny, I'm talking to a lot of our players and guys we represent and guys that are high school and college players, and it's like conversations I'm having with them. They're looking for answers too. I'm like, I'm not Houdini, but I think you just have to talk people through it and just say, look, it's gonna, and it helps kind of give yourself some sense of comfort that and stay confident that we're a strong nation and we're going to get through this.
Amen.
Little bit of sad news today too. Ed Farmer, who was a all-star reliever with the Chicago White Sox and was then a radio broadcaster for the White Sox, has passed away at the age of 70. He died last night in L.A., apparently from complications from an illness. He was a Chicago native on the south side. He went to St. Rita, which is sort of like a Christian Brothers high school in Chicago. And that is really sad news for me. I listened to him broadcast a bunch. And then former Cardinals all-star Jim Edmonds said he tested positive for coronavirus and for pneumonia.
Yeah, but he's doing better. It was some tough days.
He's completely symptom-free now.
Yeah.
Well, that's good news. What a great player he was.
Go. You realize Edmonds is 49 years old now. He played 17 years in the big leagues. Man,
I thought he was the best center fielder in Cardinal history.
At one point in time, he was undoubtedly the best center fielder in the big leagues at one time. Just some of the you remember the catches he made that were just just running that deep pattern down the middle of the field and just laying out, and he made that play several times.
Not overall better player, but I can remember on these airwaves in the 90s when he was an Angel, not because of any Cardinal bias. I had no idea he was coming to the Cardinals, but I can remember heated discussions on these airwaves that I thought he was better defensively than Ken Griffey Jr. Now, he was not the better overall player than Junior.
Yeah, that's a good argument. I mean, there's no question about it. Defensively, he was at that time for real.
We've been sitting here and we're wondering, and I got to tip my cap to Major League Baseball for agreeing at least for another month to pay the minor leaguers through May. Were you surprised that Major League Baseball did that, especially since they've been toying with the idea of sort of dismantling the minor leagues as we know it?
Well, I think obviously it was a good gesture, and I actually saw where I want to say he plays for the Rangers. Chu donated $1,000 to every player in the organization in the minor leagues, which was awesome. I do think this, Dave. I think the fact that the draft has been reduced to potentially 5 rounds this year, next year 20 rounds. They're reducing the amount of money they're going to pay free agent signees after the 5th round this year. All the things that are going on with guys that really aren't in the big leagues, I think Major League Baseball really needed to do something to say, look, we're not forgetting about minor league players. We're not forgetting about amateur players, because at some point in time, these guys are going to be, major league players. So I think it was a good gesture for Major League Baseball to do it. And look, I've lived on a minor league player's budget, and it's very difficult to make ends meet. And to be honest with you, if you looked at the number of hours that minor leagues put in during the course of the year and how much they're making, it's below minimum wage, I can assure you.
Oh, yeah.
It's down about $1 an hour with the time they put in trying to to hone their craft to get their shot at the show. And Tim, you know what that carrot was like, and it's one of the ultimate ones. I think it's sometime in just about everybody's life, and it quickly dissipates for most of us. Tim, you got to carry it all the way out to right there. Everybody at some time thinks about, I'm gonna play in the big league someday, and for most of us, it's a silly dream. But for a lot of those guys, they get right there. And I want people to understand this about minor league baseball in Memphis. I don't know what the future holds, but I want people to rest assured the St. Louis Cardinals still hold, and I don't know the exact percentage, but enough that it matters to them, they still hold some ownership stake in the Memphis Redbirds and in Memphis 901, so they still are invested here. However shakes out and whenever, minor league baseball, AAA affiliate at AutoZone Park with the St. Louis Cardinals will continue.
Absolutely. I think that when you hear the topic of how they're going to dismantle, so to speak, like Dave was saying, the minor leagues, I think you're going to see it in the short season A clubs, which is basically leagues that take place after the draft. You'll see some of the, some teams have had, say, 2 rookie league teams in the Gulf Coast. You're going to see some of those teams, and some clubs have 3 single A teams. They have a short season, they have a middle A and a high A. You're going to see some of those A ball clubs. I don't think you're going to see a lot of double A clubs go away because they need that as a development. You can't go from, very difficult to go from even high A to triple A because you've got so many guys in triple A that have been in the big leagues that are really, really good. You're going to see, this will be a good thing for guys wanting to continue to chase it, although it's even more difficult, is you're going to see, because of the draft being reduced to 5 rounds, because some of these teams are going to be reduced in their minor league, the minor league teams that they've been having, you're going to see more independent teams prop up. And it's good baseball, and those guys that own those independent league teams make a lot of money. Dave, there's a lot of Schaumburg, Illinois. There's a lot of independent teams up in the Midwest and the Northeast that do really well. They're in small communities, similar to like Jackson, Tennessee, in which I think that the Diamondbacks are going to pull out of Jackson, and I think you'll see an independent team potentially go in there to try to at least survive because they've been doing so poorly over the last several years in attendance.
Well, that may change the entire structure of the lower minor leagues. I can't imagine that would be good for the players. I can't imagine that there will be some businessmen that are savvy that will try to get in on the bottom floor of that, and I hope it works because I think those communities love having that amenity of having a professional baseball team in their midst. Let's face it, when these structures were set up, the minor leagues as they are now, and they used to have more single A and double A teams, more than one
AAA.
per franchise.
More leagues.
It was when when Major League Baseball was really the only major league in America. This is before the National Football League ever took a foothold.
Right.
And
Yeah,
so
we had the American Association.
The business model has to change in one form or another, and we're seeing economically that's the case.
I think the key is a good ballpark. If you got a good ballpark, you're going to stay in the mix.
No, you've got a good ballpark, and you're drawing decent fans, and you've got support from the community through sponsorships and commitments. I think you're on stable ground.
Well, but part of that, seriously, the reason a team in Pringles Park in Jackson, Tennessee, or for that matter, way back when Tim McCarver Stadium was the ballpark, you could make a lot of money because you weren't paying the salary of the players. If we see a new model where cities like Jackson have to pay for the upkeep and the travel and the supplies like the uniforms and the salaries, now it's going to be a different model that will be used. So I'll be curious. I do agree with you. I think a good ballpark goes a long way. That's why I always felt at the AAA level, because of proximity in the ballpark, Memphis was not going to lose the St. Louis Cardinals. But I could see how it'll be hard if you've got to pay salaries for the business model of what we know as single A and double A to really still be a profitable venture.
Well, I don't think just to correct you, Dave, is that in the minor leagues, the organization pays the player salaries. In independent ball, you even though the payroll is very, very small, the reason why those independent teams are making money, and Cal Ripken owns parts of like 5 or 6 of them, is they're making money because they are paying those very, very small salaries to the player. So the players aren't making any money. They're drawing fans that are and they've got community support from their sponsors. They're able to make money, whereas let's say Memphis, the Redbirds themselves are not paying the players' salaries. The Cardinals are.
No, that's what I'm saying to you is that I think it will be harder for a lot of these owners of AA and single A teams because now they're going to have the burden like the independent teams do of paying the players. The one positive about that, if you're playing in Springfield, Illinois, in a single A little stadium, the beauty of that is you're not losing that player to go to AA. He's with you the whole year.
Yeah, and if he gets picked up by a major league team, they have to purchase him from you, so you're able to make a little bit of money.
Yeah, and Tim, one day, even way before COVID-19, I've been scared of what I fear that Rob Manfred wants to do to minor league, and now with this, here comes the hammer. But I walked in one day off there and told Dave, I said, I'm a little worried about the Cardinals and the association with Redbirds, and he said, Brett, I-55, 4 hours, great ballpark, quit worrying. And that really is the case. Major League Baseball has already announced, Tim, that if we have no 2020, that will be time served for the Houston Astros. The ban would be over. Yep. Would that be fair?
Well, I don't know that it's fair, but I can, the Astros are not glad this is happening, but it's definitely, we haven't been talking about them, have we? I don't know that that's fair. No, I would disagree. I would say that players are going to get their service time, which I think is, obviously they negotiated that. The union did a great job, but I don't think it's fair that the Astros would not serve some form of suspension from the playoffs.
I agree with you. I don't see how they would get away with that.
Yeah.
It was a big technicality, but it would be a technicality that they would escape it. Will the public remember and still meet them with the rash treatment that they were getting?
Well, really, it's just 2 guys, right? I mean, the only guys that were really punished were A.J. Hinch and Jeff Luhnow. Isn't that it? I mean, we're only talking about 2 guys.
Well, we're still waiting on the Red Sox.
Yeah. Who knows what's going to happen with that?
It sounds like the can's going to get kicked, and whenever it returns, I think people will have long, long memories. What are your college coaches, your friends in SEC? What are they saying about this?
I talked to Tim Corbin the other day. I talked to Chris Lamonis. Talked to Dan McDonald. Here's what people, and this is kind of interesting, is when you look at, say, the draft, in every major league team's draft room, there are literally thousands of names of players, and they've got them all prioritized in whether they're pitchers or hitters or corner guys or whatever, and then they've got them prioritized as college or high school, whatever. And that changes on the fly, obviously, as if Dave picks a player from the Cubs, and we didn't think that we were going to pick him, but he's available, then we got to go to plan B. And so what happens is these college teams are doing the same thing. So, for instance, Vanderbilt has guys that were planned on coming here next year to Vanderbilt, but they've got 5 or 6 guys that they've got committed and signed, that they've got them in a bucket of saying, these guys are going to go in the first round. They're not going to get to Vanderbilt. So they've gotten them written off. And then you got another bucket of guys that potentially could go high enough in the draft where they've got a decision to make. Well, now not only do you still have those dynamics, but you've got the dynamics of, we've got guys that are giving another year of eligibility to come back. We've got money invested in those kids through scholarships. So even though we might let a guy come back his senior year, that's a good player, but we've got an incoming freshman that's really better than him, we're going to have to sit down and tell that senior, you can come back, but you're not going to play, and hope that he just graduates.
Yeah.
So everybody
what a
is
dilemma.
affected, and there are super tough decisions that are going to have to be made. Because, you could let everybody come back, and you're going to have 40 guys on the roster. Well, now you're affecting player development because there's not enough hours in the day to get everybody innings at bats and scrimmages and all those things. So it's just a total quagmire for everybody,
Well, I would assume that anybody that was really a good player that would probably be drafted in their junior year once they've declared, if they have the chance to go, they're not coming back. But
that happens all the time. You're exactly right. You would encourage him, if you get drafted at all, you probably need to sign because next year you're probably not going to play.
Right.
But here's the problem is, in years past, which who knows how it's going to be moving forward, years past we've had 30 to 40 rounds. This year we're going to have 5. So now a club that typically takes, say, high school pitchers, the Cubs one year took all pitching in the top, 9 out of the first 10 rounds they took all pitching, 7 college players. So now all of a sudden, with just having 5 rounds, all of the philosophies and all of the tendencies that teams had in the past that you could look at really goes out the window because, again, we're in new territory here. So their whole philosophy from drafting players is changing as we speak.
It is changing, Tim, and we will keep up with it all. We'll visit again next week and see if we have a little more clarity on everything near and far. Thank you, Tim.
All right. Take care, guys. Thanks.
Thank you, buddy. We appreciate
Tim
it.
Doolin,
Stay safe.
talking baseball
Stay
with
healthy.
us. Talking baseball with us, Dave. We'll round out hour number 2 momentarily when we return from the break. But before we go to break, Dave, I want to tell you when we come back, I'm going to tell you where I would have had both of your Chicago teams if we had made preseason predictions.
Well, why even build any suspense? The truth is, it was going to be a Subway Series. I don't know why we're even waiting. This portion of the show brought to you by the Butcher Shop. Tomorrow, it's Hamburger Friday, right? Well, you can still do Hamburger Friday. They are still open at the Butcher Shop, and they will do Hamburger Friday. If you call in advance, tell them you're coming curbside. They'll bring you the burgers and the chips and all of the workings. If you want it delivered, they'll deliver on Grubhub, and this is the beauty of what they're doing now at the Butcher Shop. They can do Hamburger Friday any day for a bigger staff. If you want to treat your workers at a car dealership or some other place, here's what you do. You call them, a minimum of $250, they'll bring Hamburger Friday to you any day. And the other beautiful thing that Simpson and all the folks that are part of the Butcher Shop are doing, not only can you get any of their steaks on the menu, any of the marinated chicken breasts, any of the salmon or the seafood, they'll give you steaks and ground beef and potatoes and things of that nature in the raw state so that you can cook them yourself. It's almost like a grocery store. All you have to do is call them and let them know, and they will deliver it to you curbside. They're still cooking or providing at the butcher shop. Back in a minute. We'll put a wrap on hour number 2 on this Thursday with Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats.
Want to get your voice heard? Hit us up on the First Bank phone line or First Bank text line.
Hi, this is John Conway with Conway Services. Does your air conditioning system need Freon every year? It may be time for Conway Services 16-point Energy Saver Super Tune-Up with a free leak check. Good news, it's Super Tune-Up time at Conway Services. We'll come out and perform our 16-point Energy Saver Super Tune-Up on your air conditioning system for only $69 with a free leak check. That's right, Conway Services exclusive 16-point Energy Saver Super Tune-Up for only $69 with a free leak check. We'll remove years of dirt, grime, and leaves from your air conditioning system. It's like taking your air conditioner to a car wash, all for only $69. If that's not enough, we'll treat your unit with a special Teflon coating to help protect against the hot Memphis sun. So call Conway Services, the Mid-South's premier heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric service company at 384-3511. And call this week and ask for the early bird special, and we'll perform your super tune-up for only $57.
Call 384-3511. Conway Services. Call Conway today.
Central Barbecue is committed to the health and safety of this community, who has supported Central for almost 20 years. Central Barbecue is still open for business with to-go and delivery options to serve the greater Memphis area with the same great barbecue you have come to know and love. With 4 locations to serve you, from downtown, midtown, and East Memphis, you can order your favorite barbecue and enjoy everything on the menu in the comfort of your own home. Call your nearest Central Barbecue location for more information on delivery and to-go options today.
I'm Joe Coy, stand-up comedian, and I'm here to toast my mother. Sam Adams is the best beer for this toast. It's grassroots, it's family. What I take from that is the same thing that I got from my mom. Mom, when you came to this country, it was to give the kids an opportunity that you knew that you would never have. Thank you for everything you sacrificed. So this is for you.
I'm so proud of you.
And I love you so much. Oh my God, bottoms up. Slow down, lady.
That's good.
Boston Beer Company, Boston, Massachusetts. Savor the flavor responsibly.
Hi, folks. Bob Burkheimer for Sunrise Buick GMC Truck. A lot has happened overnight, and just wanted to let you know we're open at Sunrise for all your automotive needs. Service, body shop, parts, and sales. Go online to sunrisememphis.com to schedule an appointment. Should you need a vehicle, we're offering 0% up to 84 months with deferred payments up to 120 days. You can shop online. We'll bring the car or truck to you. At Sunrise, we know you want to feel safe, so bring your car or truck to any Sunrise location, and we'll disinfect it at no charge. Sunrise, stress-free and safe. Covington Pike, Wolf Chase, and Collierville.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Rounding out hour number 2, we start number 3 with the voice of the Texas Longhorns, Craig Way, and looking forward to that. And if you didn't catch Mayor Strickland, you can at sports56whbq.com, and we will have the Mayor joining us.
I'm curious. We were just talking baseball with Tim Doolin. Did you see the house that Tom Brady is renting in Tampa?
We seem to have lost Brett momentarily, but I did actually see he's renting Jeter's waterfront mansion.
Yeah. Can you guess how many square feet that waterfront mansion is?
50,000 square feet?
50,000. My goodness, that'll be a hotel. 30,000.
I don't know. I don't do square feet very well.
It is incredible. So when we go to Tampa to play USF, we've been staying in this area that is very close to where the hockey stadium is. It's a cool area just around downtown, and I like to go to the steakhouse there called Burns Steakhouse, one of the best steakhouses, one of the best restaurants in America. It's got the biggest wine cellar of any restaurant in America. It's got a really cool dessert room upstairs that's all made out of redwood from the redwood forest. I mean, it's very, very unique restaurant and one of the busiest restaurants in really literally the world. But to get to that from our hotel, you have to go by that waterfront stretch where all these mansions are. So I have seen that house before. It is impressive, and you got this beautiful view of the water and of the Tampa skyline. I mean, you can't beat it. It'll be a nice place for Tom and Giselle to live, I can tell you that.
The thing that I'm kind of shocked about reading this story is the fact that Derek Jeter just is renting it out, and apparently from things that I've read that it actually happens a lot where celebrities and people with a lot of money just basically can afford to just rent out an entire mansion and they'll be fine in their other mansion. Like, it's just a ridiculous amount of money to me that it's hard to wrap my head around, that you can just say, yeah, I'm not using that one. You just pay me this every month and we'll call it even. Like, it's a mansion, for goodness sakes.
Well, I mean, all you have to do is look at the total amount of money they've made in their careers and probably cut it in half, and that's what they should have. And you don't lose money on housing like that. If you're renting, you're going to use it as a write-off. If you own it, you're never going to lose money because you're going to make money when you sell it. So it makes a lot of sense.
Good deal if you can get it.
What he is doing.
Real good deal if you can get it.
Well, very few can, but Tom Brady is one of those that can, and I don't know how
so
much
can
that
Derek
you heard,
Jeter.
but it is a spectacular home. I've seen it.
It looks it. It looks it indeed.
I do want to let you know this portion of the show is brought to you by Dinstall's. Okay, we do have Easter coming. And I know Becky Dinstall wants everybody to know, we're giving you an update, how they're going to operate during this challenging time. And Easter will still be filled, the place to go to fill your baskets with homemade treats. It will be done curbside. So from chocolate rabbits and coconut nests to the award-winning fudge sucker, all you have to do is make a call. You can choose from a selection of beautiful hand-packed Easter baskets. You may need a little chocolate therapy or some cashew crunch therapy to get you through this holiday season. All Dinstall stores will be open for curbside pickup. You can use local delivery, or if you're sending out of town, you can still use FedEx delivery, Monday through Saturday from 11 to 4. Call your favorite Dinstall store today. Let the chocolate concierge assist you in placing your order, whether that's Laurelwood or Germantown or Collierville or Pleasant View, where it all started, or now downtown. Dinstall's filling your Easter basket for over 118 years.
Craig Way, the voice of the Texas Longhorns, to be with us in a few minutes. Start the third and final hour. Look forward to visiting with him again. Craig is one of those guys. He pulls the full year. He goes August all the way through. Well, usually for him, it's the College World Series in Omaha for that proud baseball program. We'll visit with him about his downtime and about the prospects for Texas football next year, if we have football, and what he's hearing. We'll visit with him. We look forward to it. Anytime we catch up with Craig, we always like to, and he loves talking about the Memphis barbecue. He is one of the barbecue connoisseurs in this country. He'll drive out of his way to get to that hole-in-the-wall place if he has to. Craig Way from the Texas Longhorns. He starts hour number 3 with us on this Thursday afternoon. This is Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats on Real Sports Talk, AM 560, 87.7, and 96.1 FM.
I'm here with Robert Cox, kitchen manager of the Rendezvous Restaurant. Tell us about those great ribs at the Rendezvous.
Rendezvous stands alone in a unique barbecue style, only found in Memphis, Tennessee. We don't smoke our ribs, we char broil them. The guys cooking our ribs have been doing it for 30 years. Mr. Charlie Virgos taught the guys the technique himself, and still to this day, they teach newcomers that come in the door. After our ribs come out the pit, we pre-cut every order, so you easily can tear them apart. We baste our ribs on a plate and sprinkle our season all over them.
So Robert, are ribs what everyone comes to the Rendezvous for?
The beef brisket is now our second best seller behind the ribs. We also have lamb riblets, half chicken, pork shoulder, chopped chicken, cheese and sausage plate. Nachos are fantastic. We also carry a Greek salad. The list goes on.
Robert, where can we find out more about all of these great options?
Our restaurant menu is online at hogsfly.com, and recently we just added our catering menu online.
Mr. Charlie Virgos' Rendezvous Restaurant, a family-owned restaurant in downtown Memphis, in the alley since 1948.
I'm Dr. George Flynn, president of Flynn Broadcasting. On behalf of everyone associated with Flynn Broadcasting, we want to wish you good health. especially in this coronavirus situation. You can be the hero. All you have to do is practice social distancing. That's right, 6 feet away from other people, and you'll be part of the solution, not part of the problem. Also, if you feel ill and have a cough or fever, get tested so you'll know if you have coronavirus or not. I'm Dr. George Flynn with Flynn Broadcasting. We'll keep you connected while you maintain your physical social distance. So keep listening to this Flynn Broadcasting station, because we're in this fight with you, and we're going to help you stay connected.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss. You've worked hard building up your retirement nest egg, but will it provide the income you need to have a comfortable retirement? Do you have the right investment mix? Stocks, bonds, cash? What about annuities or real estate? If you have $500,000 or more, call for Fisher Investments' free guide, The Definitive Guide to Retirement Income. Call Fisher at 1-800-885-7766. That's 1-800-885-7766.
Farmers Insurance knows that when you're in the car and that song comes on, yes, that's the one, you have no choice but to pull out your imaginary drumsticks and smash those cymbals and stomp on that kick pedal, which unfortunately is the accelerator pedal. And we covered it. Talk to a farmer's agent who knows a thing or two because they've seen a thing or two.
Call Chad Gatlin at 901-235-1176 or get a fast quote at memphisfarmers.com.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Underwritten by Farmers Truck Fire Insurance Exchanges and Affiliates. Products not available in every state.
Sports 56 would like to recognize local businesses that are out there still feeding and providing for the community via curbside pickup. Let's support local business with your business. These local businesses include East Memphis Ace Hardware, The Butcher Shop, El Toro Loco on Kirby, Bartlett Small Engines, Spirit Shop Liquor Store, Five Ash Roofing, Tactical Guns and Ammo, and Wolf Chase Lemon Brace. Sports 56 appreciates the support of local businesses always, but especially during this time. Thank you.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Welcome back to Sportstime on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sportstime is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Texas Longhorns with us next to start this third and final hour on this Thursday. This hour brought to you every day by DeSoto Auto Sales down on Goodman Road at 5704 County, 5704 Goodman Road, 662-7184. Come on down to DeSoto County for experience at DeSoto Auto Sales. All the cars checked out from head to toe, bumper to bumper, unlimited inventory, every make, every model. If it's not on the lot, they'll go out and find it for you. No shortcuts taken at DeSoto Auto Sales, where you're treated like family. You walk in, you're treated by kind, courteous employees just like a member of the family. Laid back, down-home environment. No high-pressure sales. They care about your time and want you to enjoy the ultimate car experience. What is that? It means you walk in, 45 minutes later, you're out of there. Your car, test drive your car, credit approved, paperwork completed, gone in time to do it over your lunch hour or immediately after work. They know we're living in a world today that time matters. At DeSoto Auto Sales on Goodman Road, 662-890-7184. Check them out online. Check out all the very pleased referrals at DeSoto Auto Sales. That town and country experience on Goodman Road at DeSoto Auto Sales. Dave, a very special guest and a good friend of yours and a friend of the show. We love catching up with Craig Way. We know he never has any downtime. That 3 weeks he has off, late June, early July, the only time he really takes off all year.
Well, hold on. I tried calling him earlier today, and what do you think he was doing? He was involved in a Zoom interview for the University of Texas website, I'm guessing. He's not stopped working. Craig, are you going crazy, though, because you don't have games?
You know what? And it's good to hear old friends' voices. I actually on my show, and first I'm back on the air doing a regular talk show myself, and that actually started before all of this. So
my goodness! Wait! Time out. Last time I talked to you, you're going, "Oh, Wolo, I don't have to do that show anymore." Man,
that's right. I'm show free.
What happened?
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Maybe I saw what was coming. I don't know, because if I didn't have it, I probably would be going nuts right now. But well, I actually started doing the show before all of this other stuff happened. And I do a show from 10 a.m. to noon. And so I was doing that, and I've been doing this 10 a.m. to noon show. But in addition to that, I've been doing a couple of interviews for the university's athletic website. They were, they were just, wanting to, have a message, first of all, from the athletic director, Chris Del Conte, last week, to fans and to interested people. And then also from the coaches. Today I was visiting with David Pierce, the baseball coach, who, by the way, some connection with you guys. His media relations guy, who's incredible, is Kevin Rodriguez, who came to Texas.
Oh, yeah.
So K-Rod came down from that, and he's just outstanding. So we were doing that, and had the interview, like I said, with the athletic director the other day. I'll be doing one with Tom Herman early next week. So kind of staying busy a little bit. But I started back on doing the show again. They had shuffled a few things at the flagship station and had the opening and said, "Hey, what do you think?" And I said, at the time, I'd be glad to go back on. The issue is I'm going to miss a lot of days due to games. And they said, well, we'll have somebody that'll, can step in for you, somebody to co-host with you. Well, I haven't missed a day of the show.
Right.
Because there's still games to do. So I've been doing the show every day. So
it is interesting that you're doing those things on the Texas website, because the University of Memphis had contacted me about a week and a half or two ago, and they're going to try to do some of those same things just to keep, honestly, the U of M brand out there. Because, Craig, I think can all be very honest, we have no idea when games might come back.
Yep, I think you're exactly right, and it's a pretty common thread, I think, that's starting to happen at a lot of the universities with their athletic departments across the country. And I think I've told this before on the show with you guys before, but I'm on a group text with all of the other play-by-play guys of the Big 12 Conference. We're all pretty close, or we keep in regular contact with one another. And one of the big events for us all the time every year is the night before the Big 12 basketball tournament gets underway. We all gather together at a restaurant in downtown Kansas City, and we go to dinner. And there's never been 100% attendance at it because somebody might have a conflict with a baseball game or a softball game, and that includes me. I've missed a couple when I had a baseball game. But this year we had 9 of the 10. The only one we didn't have with us this year was Toby Rowland, who does Oklahoma, because he had just had back surgery and was back home. But when we got together at that dinner that night, the number one thing on our minds, the number one topic of conversation with the growing concern about what was happening with COVID-19, with the coronavirus, was the media relations people had been told at the operations meeting, as you know, those ops meetings happen the night before conference tournaments begin, and they had been told no one is to go back into the locker room, no media people to go back into the locker room area. We're trying to keep the whole area sanitized. And the big concern for a lot of the guys is, how are we going to do some of the interviews that we do? Like a couple of guys like Dave Hunziker does Oklahoma State. He and John Holcomb, at halftime, they have one of their crew goes in and does something with one of the assistant coaches, and they do a lot of their post-game interviews, recording it, going back in the locker room. The only issue that I was running across was with Shaka Smart with doing the pregame interview, like, an hour and a half before game time, that sort of thing. And so that was the number one concern on our minds, and we all laughed about that a few days after, in light of the fact that everything shut down. I mean, the Longhorns were on the floor 3 weeks ago today, on the floor at the Sprint Center in Kansas City, going through warm-ups, as were the Texas Tech Red Raiders. They were to tip off the game in what was a critical game for both with regard to their NCAA tournament hopes. The Tech probably still would have been in had they lost, but it would have been dicey because they would have been 18-14. Texas was 19-12 going into it, but really kind of needed the win to completely lock it in. They'd won 5 in a row before a pretty lackluster effort in a regular season-ending loss at home to Oklahoma State, but they've won 5 in a row prior to that, including road wins in Lubbock and Norman. So they'd had a couple of big road wins. But this was going to be a big game, and the teams were on the floor going through warm-ups, and literally I think it was 40 minutes to tip. I think it was 10:50 a.m.
So you were on the air already?
11:30. And, no. We were 10 minutes to air from network air at 11. But the flagship was on and all that. In fact, I was actually on the air with the flagship doing a live hit, a segment with them. And we were talking about how, and by then it had mushroomed to the point of no fans in the stands other than, I think it was 125 tickets for family members. That's all it was going to be. It was so there were just this smattering of fans. Otherwise, it was going to be an empty arena. And I've already been asked by several people, how are you going to call the game? How are you going to call the game in an empty arena? And I said, well, how do you think I'm going to call it? I'm going to call it. I'm not going to be self-conscious about who's listening or not listening. I got a game to call. And so Texas Tech had their, small group of fans, and Texas did. And I was right in the middle of doing a live hit for the flagship, and I see the operations director for the team come out, and he kind of he looked at me square in the eye across the floor as the player started to turn and walk off the floor, and he kind of pointed to his throat, almost like a throat slash deal. Not right. Quite that demonstrative, but just like, cut it, it's not happening. And I looked at him, and I actually said on the air, is the game called? I said, is the game canceled? And he said, and he nodded his head. I said, fellas, we've just been told this. I said, the teams are coming off the floor. I said, this game's not going to, they will not play today. And right at that point, 3 or 4 writers had been walking out to the floor. They all just stopped and clustered around. No game. And that was it. So that was 3 weeks ago today. So much has obviously happened, and it's been bizarre.
I got a similar kind of story as you. I too do the Penny Hardaway show, the pregame show, about an hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours before game time. We're on the air an hour before the game, and we had already gotten that edict that you couldn't go back in the locker room. So I was actually going to do the pregame show with Penny from the hotel before everybody left, and that had already been arranged. We also have a dinner with the American Athletic Conference announcers, and what we were talking about there was how weird it was going to be, because the word had come out that we were not going to have people in the stands, and the only thing I was thinking about that might change would I have to whisper when there were free throws so as not to interrupt.
No, when he ripped the refs, Greg. When he ripped the refs, that's what he was worried about.
I was too, yeah, because then they could hear it. That's for sure. So, and we were joking about it, and nobody at that point had any realization that all this would go away. But the truth of the matter, and Brett and I have touched on this many, many times, the world changed for sure. Actually, it might have started, the first little inkling might have started in Austin, Texas.
It did, with South by Southwest,
with the cancellation of South by Southwest.
That was smart.
But in the sporting world, it all ended with Rudy Gobert.
No doubt. I think, and I'd gotten ahead of myself, and it's funny you bring up the Rudy Gobert thing, because the night before, the tournament had actually begun the day before with the 2 play-in games, if you will, the 7 versus 10 seed and the 8 versus 9. And those will go down as the final basketball games played this year involving Big 12 conference schools. And they were 2 very tightly played games. Oklahoma State had won on a driving layup at the buzzer to win their contest, and over Iowa State, and Kansas State had beaten TCU in the final seconds there, and that was the 8 versus 9 matchup. So there were 2 very, very closely played games. Actually, that was the 10 beating the 7 seed was K-State winning, and the 8-9 was Oklahoma State. Well, anyway, the point was that night, the night before, those games were played in front of regular crowds. It wasn't a sellout, and those play-in games on Wednesdays at the Big 12 tournament are never sellouts, but there's probably 14,000 in the arena, in an 18,000-seat arena. So it was there, and the bands were going, and we'd already been told there would be no fans there the next day. So we were there watching it, and I'm sitting there with my engineer producer Dave Garrett, and also with Mark Neely from ESPN, and we were just sitting there watching the game. I was looking around. I said, this is kind of sad. At the under 4 timeout, the last official stoppage of the second game, and I'm looking around and I'm listening to the bands. I was like, none of this is going to be here tomorrow. But I still thought there was going to be a game. So the next morning we go in, and the radio networks were allowed access to the arena 2 hours prior to tip, 9:30, whereas the regular media was only being allowed access 1 hour prior. So I get there at 9:30, and Scott McConnell, our outstanding men's basketball media relations director, I had sent him a text, or actually I saw him and said, after we'd heard about what was going to happen about no access to the locker room, and I said, what are we going to do about pregame with Shaka? He goes, oh, don't worry about that. I'll walk you back. I said, how are you going to be able to do that? He goes, I'll get you back there. Don't worry. And I was like, okay. And sure enough, he comes walking out to the floor. This was at about 9:45 or something like that. And he has like a little red sticker, a red dot. And he said, put that on your credential. And so apparently they had that for some secret access to get back there. So I put that, they'd given him one of those that the league had. So I did that. I go back into the locker room and go back into the coaching office there in the locker room where Shaka's standing in there. And I sit down to do the pregame interview, and he looks at me and he said, and again, this is at 9:45, 9:50, and he looks at me and said, I don't think we're playing today. Now, this was an hour before anybody's heard. I said, do you know something I don't know? He goes, no, I haven't been told anything. He said, but I will tell you this. He said, I know the athletic directors are meeting with the commissioner right now. They're all either on conference call or whatever the meeting. He said, so I just got a feeling we're not going to play. He said, but obviously, for the sake of the exercise, let's go ahead and do the interview. So we did the full pregame interview, which was kind of recapping the season to that point, and then the keys for getting ready for Texas Tech. And then, of course, the game gets shut down. And I'd asked him later, I asked him on the charter flight home, I said, did you know? He says, I didn't know. It was just, I had a feeling. I just had a feeling. So when I got back on my talk show the next day, I played the pregame interview. It said, it never saw the light of air, but it's gonna see air here. So because it was kind of a recap of the season.
Craig, somebody, I don't know who it is, and we're not being patronizing. We have praised it. We have lauded it since immediately after the decision was made. Somebody at South by Southwest literally saved lives on the spread, on spreaders, canceling that big event with all those people coming to Austin with the economic toll that it took. And they did it before it was popular to cancel stuff. That was smart.
Yeah, and you know what I think the trigger with that, Brett, was? The whole connection of international influx. That was the deal, because what was the number one thing we kept hearing at that time? China and Italy. And Italy was just starting to sprout up, but it was all about China and the Pacific Rim and Korea, South Korea. So we were hearing that. Well, there were a lot of folks coming in, the folks come in from all over the world, as you guys know, for South by Southwest, because it's not just music, it's cultural, it's art, it's lectures, it's so many, it's films. There's so many things that go on that are connected to South by Southwest, and it draws this international group. And sure enough, when that got shut down, it got everybody's attention, but I don't think it still, I don't think it sank in with everybody about what we were all going to see on how it was going to, just knock everybody over when sports would go away. And it was happening incrementally, but it was happening so fast in that 48 hours that you guys will remember, and I think we'll all remember during conference tournament week how things were moving so quickly in a 36 to 48 hour span to go from every plan to play. Some Power Fives like the ACC were already underway, and they were playing, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, okay, the ones that are going to play now, they're going to play without fans in the stands too. Nobody's playing. And it all happened so quickly and accelerated so quickly. I had somebody I heard ascribe it to like a virus spreading, so to speak, to be poignant about it. But it went really, really quickly in terms of full-on plans to play, to absolutely nobody playing, and the linchpin to all of it, Wolo, as you said, was Rudy Gobert, and that's what Shock had said to me. That I think because it was the next day after we found out about Gobert, it happened the night before. I think if Gobert if that positive test had been announced Tuesday, when I was at dinner with the Big 12 play-by-play guys, I don't think there would have been games Wednesday. But it happened on Wednesday night with with the trainer rushing out on the floor there in Oklahoma City, and when that happened, that's when it got everybody's attention. I'm in complete agreement with you there.
Well, the administrator that put the halt on South by Southwest is a brave person. Because, I know Memphis in May in Memphis, and I know the tourism dollars and the economic boost that it gives the city of Memphis. Now, we're not a state capital like you are in the state of Texas with the amount of money that runs through your state. But I would have to think millions of economic impact lost by losing that particular event.
Usually, the number 50 rolls around during the course of that, like a $50 million influx that comes in through the course of the total fortnight of it. So, yeah, that's the number that gets tossed around. But and back to your original point, Wolo, that the deal about doing the Zoom interview, as I was doing with David Pierce, the baseball coach today, and as I did with the athletic director, Chris Del Conte, since the cancellation of the Big 12 tournament and everybody went back to their communities, around the conference, in keeping in touch with all of the Big 12 play-by-play guys. They're all starting to do very, very similar things. Tony Caridi at West Virginia, Dave Hunziker at Oklahoma State, John Walters at Iowa State, just to name a few, John Morris at Baylor. They're all, starting to do those interviews that are popping up on the university's websites as they continue to try to, send the message forward about, the disappointment of not being able to finish the seasons in basketball. And for us down here, baseball is a big, big thing. Texas was off to a 14-3 start. They had looked really, really good, and had come off a sweep of Cal State Fullerton. And so they had one more non-conference series before opening Big 12 conference play in Norman the following week. So it was big. So a big part of what the conversation I had with Coach Pierce today was about all of that, and about the NCAA's ruling this week to restore spring sport eligibility seasons to those athletes next year, and how it affects baseball and all the other spring sports.
Well, we mentioned this a little earlier, but who knew before this pandemic about Zoom? Believe it or not, I was part of a Rotary speech at noon today over Zoom. Can you believe that?
Really?
And did you ever know of Zoom before this pandemic?
I'd heard of it, but that was about it. It's funny. Mac Brown, of course, the former Longhorn coach, was on with our morning show guys this morning because, by the way, one of the other things that got canceled in the aftermath of this was a huge, and I do mean, fellas, huge celebrity and charity fundraising golf tournament here in the Austin area that happens every year. It's called the Mac, Jack, and McConaughey, and it's Mac Brown, Jack Ingram, the singer, and of course Matthew McConaughey, and they host, the three of them host a gigantic gala, fundraising event and golf tournament that benefits a number of charities, and that had to, of course, be canceled. And so Mac was on with our morning guys this morning, and he was talking about how they never got spring practice underway at North Carolina. And he said, "Yeah, I'm a real smart guy. I was used to doing it. He goes, we're going back to my days even before Texas when I was at North Carolina and even at Tulane." He said, we would start spring practice 2 weeks prior to spring break. This year, my strength coach says, "Coach, let's go ahead and wait because the guys need a little more time, and they just added a couple more staff members." He said, "I decided to wait." He goes, "So my strength coach doesn't really come near me that much these days because they got no practice." And same thing here. Tom Herman wanted to wait because they turned over almost the entire coaching staff. Oscar Giles from the defensive side was there. Stan Drayton from the offensive side. still remaining. Pretty much everybody else has been changed out. So to give everybody more of a time to ramp up in terms of the playbook and the offense, the defense, and all this, and Mike Yurcich, the new offensive coordinator, obviously, and for everything to happen on both sides of the football, they wanted to give it a little more time, so they were going to start later with spring ball, and of course that goes by the wayside. And Tom Herman said in a conference call the other day that all the guys have what they need in terms of the mental stuff, the cut-ups, the playbooks, all of that kind of stuff. But of course, the big missing component right now is the physical side of it by not having spring practice, because they would be right in it right now.
Oh, they and as you just said, I mean, Memphis has a new defensive coordinator, Mike McIntyre. How about Ole Miss with Lane Kiffin, Mike Leach at Mississippi State, the new coach at Arkansas? That you've got new systems on both sides of the ball and a new head coach. And, well, who knows if we'll even have a football season. I certainly pray that we do, but we won't know. I tell you this, it's always a pleasure chatting with you, my friend. I'm glad to know you're back on your daily show, I think. And I know you're going crazy without games. I think we all are. But let's all convene in a month or two, and maybe we'll have some good things to talk about. You stay healthy.
Thank you, Craig.
Yeah, hey, it sounds right. The thing I was going to tell you about Mac is that he said, I should have bought stock in Zoom, but who knows, right?
That's right. That's right. Thank you, Craig.
All right.
That's what I said,
all right, guys.
I agree with him.
You got it, man.
Thank you, Craig.
You bet.
That is Craig Way, the voice of the Texas Longhorns. Let's take a timeout. When we come back, we had a very, very nice conversation with the mayor of Memphis a little bit earlier in the program at 3:30. Jim Strickland will replay his interview to help all of you out in just a minute. This is Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Peter Edmiston and C.J. Hertz. Right here on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7 FM.
Looking for a great place to deposit your money? Try First Bank. Competitive CD rates, a money market that moves with Wall Street prime and interest-bearing checking account options. Not to mention their friendly bankers who make decisions locally. To find out more, stop by one of First Bank's 3 local branches. 6482 Poplar Avenue, just east of International Paper. 8398 Highway 64 across from Wolf Chase. And 6280 Highway 64 in Oakland. Or visit firstbankonline.com. Member FDIC.
The Home Depot is here to help, and we have many ways to help. You can download our app or go online to find the essential products and information you need quickly. You can order what you need online, and we can have it waiting for you at the store. Or we can even deliver over 1 million items free. And we have thousands of how-to videos for the projects and repairs you need to make. We're here to help. The Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Now, a tournament flashback. In their first ever Final Four last year, Texas Tech showed they had even bigger dreams.
Culver dribbling middle of the floor. 1 minute to play. Culver, 3, top of the key. Got it! Cold-blooded Culver! 58-51, Texas Tech by 7.
Jared Culver and the Red Raiders knocked out Michigan State 61-51 in the semifinals for a shot at the grand prize against Virginia.
If you're a pro, Lowe's knows how hard you work every day. So it's important that others are working hard for you. We're here to help with the supplies you need to make critical repairs and the products your customers need to keep their homes safe and healthy during this important time. From our convenient curbside loading to spring savings on the products you need most, our focus is to help keep your business moving forward. Lowe's is pro ready, and we thank you for all you do.
Listen Sundays at 11 a.m. to join Idlewild Presbyterian Church for worship. Idlewild is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
DeSoto Auto Sales specializes in late model cars with low mileage. They have the highest standards in the car industry. All of their cars are test-driven, checked out from head to toe, unlimited inventory, every make and model. And if it's not on the lot, they'll find it for you. Walk in the door of DeSoto Auto Sales, 5704 Goodman Road. Within 45 minutes, you can test your car, get credit approval, and finish paperwork within an hour. No shortcuts at DeSoto Auto Sales. Kind, courteous employees, a down-home environment. DeSoto Auto Sales cares about your time. Lowest prices in a 350-mile radius. We're living in a world today where time does matter. Visit them online. Check out their referrals. DeSotoAutosales.com. Very proud to serve DeSoto County and other surrounding areas. DeSoto Auto Sales, 5704 Goodman Road. Call 662-890-7184. 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto Auto Sales.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Welcome back in, halfway through our final hour of this program. It's brought to you in part by Ken Garland, Custom Home Builders. Ken's the guy if you're building a new home. If you're looking for land, he's got that. If you're looking for something to do with land that you have you're not sure of, Ken knows what to do there. If you're looking for a renovation to modernize your older home because you love the location, you love the lot, well, he's got renovation with innovation. He knows all the modern amenities to make it a modern palace. All you've got to do is make a call, 751-1632, or go onto his website, kengarland.com. And by the way, if you're looking for a new development, it's a cool one. There is a brand-new Boyle development called Alaylon on Messick Road, east of Kirby, all the way to McVeigh in East Memphis. 4-bedroom home starting at $875,000. Again, that number, 751-1632. Go with the best. Go with Ken Garland, Custom Home Builders. A couple of hours ago, we got to chat with the mayor of Memphis, and Jim Strickland was very, very informative.
I think those are both correct. I think most Memphians are taking this matter seriously, but not all Memphians. And that did perturb me and worries me. This is, we see what's happening in New York and some other big cities in the United States, but particularly New York. And it will never happen at the volume that's New York because they're so much bigger than us. But the percent-wise is what worries me, that if we don't take this seriously and don't distance ourselves, this virus will spread beyond the capability of our healthcare providers to take care of us. I'm going to give you a sobering number. We only have about 250 respirators in Shelby County for the hospitals, 250. That's not many patients that at all. And we're going to reach a point where we're going to have more than 250 patients who need respirators, and the doctors are going to have to make really tough decisions. We've seen it in Italy. We've got to take this seriously and stay apart from each other and preferably stay home.
Can we find any more of those respirators? I know I listened to Andrew Cuomo, the governor of New York City, basically saying, please, we'll take them and we'll pass them along as the disease progresses and goes to the west. Are there any chances to get more of those?
Yes, I can't quantify it. Governor Lee is working very hard at doing that, and it takes somebody absolutely on the governor's level to do that, because every state, every city, every hospital, they're battling for it. So Governor Lee is on it. He's ordered hundreds of them, and hopefully they're going to come in and help the situation out. And then, I didn't know Governor Cuomo said that, but that might be true. As it fades in other areas, maybe we can get theirs. The problem is, though, I wouldn't rely on that, because even though it's going to surge and it's going to hit a peak, the downward slope is going to go for weeks also. And I learned just recently you could be on a respirator for 2 or 3 weeks. It's not just 2 days and you're fine. It could be a while.
Mayor, going forward, other than doing nothing, staying at home, what is your admonition to people? Is there anything we could do with helping nurses and doctors and healthcare workers from all aspects of our city? Is there anything that we can do? I mean, around 9/11, there was so many things that it felt like whether you really were doing it or not, you were kind of helping. You were pulling for the team. Is this one quite literally do nothing, stay the heck out of sight?
That is the best thing you can do for nurses and doctors is stay home and not spread the virus. And when you do have to go out, you got to go to the grocery store occasionally. You got to go to the drugstore, or you have to do some things. Or if you're a police officer, firefighter, you've got to actually work. Wear a mask if possible. Now, I know the first question is we don't have enough masks. Doctors are now saying that even if it's a handkerchief or some kind of clothing article around your face, a scarf. Now, it's not scientifically as good as one of these high-quality masks. It's just not. And I don't want you to think if you wear a scarf, you can be within 6 feet of people. No, you still need to stay 6 feet. So if you go to the grocery store, still stay 6 feet away from each other, but it might help a little bit. So that little bit may help enough to make a difference.
And I know you've asked citizens that if they do go shopping, one member of the family only. I know it's easier to have two, but one is the safest way with which you can do it. And back to those masks, I thought I read somewhere where the city was contracting with somebody for 1.3 million masks. Is that accurate?
That is accurate, but that may just be enough to satisfy the first responders, medical personnel, and people serving the public. We have not ordered enough just to pass out to the general public. Unfortunately, we just can't get a hold of that many. I want to go back to the one person at a grocery store. That suggestion actually came from a grocery store owner who said, part of the problem is, a husband and wife and their 3 kids all go to the grocery store together. Cut that out if possible. I understand if you're a single parent and you have to take a child to the grocery because you have no other alternative. But for those who do, please only send one person.
Mayor, we hear so many nightmare stories about New York City police officers. How are your men and women, the fine folks that make up Memphis PD, how are they on the health front? And could you foresee maybe needing reinforcement from the Tennessee National Guard for your police force?
I don't think there's no immediate plans on the National Guard at all, but every police force in the country has probably been affected by it, if not necessarily from somebody who's tested positive. But remember, if somebody tests positive, the health department gets the 50 or 100 people they've been in immediate contact with, and those people in contact are then put in quarantine. So, that's affected every workplace, including city government and police and fire. So people quarantined, even if they're not testing positive, because that's really important. That's how South Korea sort of did the best of any country. They tested everyone, and they isolated the ones who tested positive. They quarantined the ones who were in contact, and just did that over and over and over. And that's how they've gotten on the downside. So we are planning for a reduction in the available force, both firefighters and police officers and EMS. So far, it hasn't negatively affected the service, but there's going to come a time where we may have to cut back on such as, and we may already have cut back on responding to every single auto accident, a non-injury accident. I can't remember if we have or haven't yet, but that's it's things like that we may have to cut back on just to save personnel.
Well, I do know this. The Today Show this morning reported that 15% of the New York City Police Department is either sick or in quarantine. 15%.
So sad.
So if we do follow along those lines, because those are percentages, not actual numbers, then that is something I guess you somehow have to prepare for.
And then think about the hospitals are doing the same thing because they're having doctors and nurses become ill. So it's just we've got to be so thankful to the healthcare professionals and the first responders who are interacting with sick people almost on a daily basis. And the fact that they're willing to go do that is amazing, and just is a testament to the honorable people that we have in our community.
Sure is.
Since you mentioned the doctors and the nurses, I saw where Governor Lee said we are short 7,000 hospital beds, and I see that you have a press conference, or somebody in the city does if it's not you, set for tomorrow to talk about a 1,000-bed temporary hospital that will be put up somewhere. Will that be enough, or will you have to continue to add to that?
I think we'll have to have more than that because if you think about it, if we need 7,000 in the state, we're probably more than 1/7 of that need here. And they're looking at several locations, and the governor, the state government is in charge of that. The Army Corps of Engineers is actually in charge of building it out. Governor Lee has selected an empty shopping center on Jackson Avenue as phase 1. There will be a phase 2, hopefully announced tomorrow, and we'll probably have a phase 3 and 4.
How are you coordinating with Memphis City Schools for students that are not in school right now and not having access to lunches? How are you coordinating with Memphis City Schools?
We have an overall joint task force that Mayor Harris and I co-chair, and there's several different subcommittees, and one of them is on food. And so we have a absolutely joined at the hip partnership with Shelby County Schools, Shelby County Government, us, MIFA, the Memphis Mid-South Food Bank, and other folks, and we're thousands of young people every day are being given their free lunch, and along with that, I think Shelby County Schools has also thrown in some homework and exercises, the academic exercises the young people can do. Unfortunately, with over 100,000 young people in the Shelby County school system, they just don't have the money to give everyone a laptop like some of the private schools are doing, homeschooling basically now. Shelby County Schools doesn't have that luxury, so they're having to just do it on a paper basis, which is really tough. But thousands of young people are getting fed. And you mentioned earlier what people could do. They could also donate to MIFA and the Mid-South Food Bank, because food we take it for granted, but the thousands of people losing their jobs right now in a month may not be able to afford food. So we've really directed people to donate there.
You came on the air a couple of weeks ago with us and talked a little bit about the economy and the businesses all over the place that might not come back and that might soon be closing. I saw a report where 12,500 jobless claims were made in Shelby County just this past week and a half. How are we doing economically? What can be done there?
Well, the hospitality industry has just been devastated. That's hotels, restaurants, tourist attractions. It's crawled to nothing. I do think some restaurants are barely holding on through takeout, and I hope people continue to try to do that. I heard some commercials when I was on hold just a second ago on your station here. I hope people do still buy from takeouts. The number one thing to do is to file for that unemployment. Right now, it's a fairly low limit per week. It's like $270 per week. But with the federal stimulus package that was just passed, that will go up. But that's all coordinated through the state. On a local level, we're working with the Greater Memphis Chamber and the Downtown Memphis Commission and the EDGE, which handles economic development, all working together for loan programs, for assistance for small businesses, as much as we can afford to do it. We don't have the resources the federal government does, but I do think that federal stimulus package also has some. But so sometimes the local effort is just connecting the small businesses to the state and federal resources. And one of our sub-task force is headed up by one of your former colleagues, Kyle Veazey, who's now working here at the City Hall, and he's working with Beverly Robertson at the Chamber to try to hook these businesses up.
We had the gentleman who owns the Germantown and the Collierville Commissary, Walker Taylor, a couple of days ago, who was trying to figure out how to navigate to get some of that federal stimulus money. Are there any websites or are there any places that somebody could go to or call that could navigate people through? Because I understand it is rather complex to figure out how you can do it to get your money.
I've been told that the Greater Memphis Chamber's website has that, and they also have people ready to call to be able to handle that. I've not actually done it myself, but I think the Greater Memphis Chamber has those resources there, and it is complicated. In fact, the city governments for cities over 500,000 people are getting money direct from the federal stimulus program, and it is hard to understand, in what form that's going to be and when that's going to be. Regulations still haven't been put out. We're hoping we'll get them tomorrow. It's very difficult, but there are people out there to help, particularly the Chamber.
Last thing for the mayor of our city, Jim Strickland. Mayor, what is your day like? When do you start? When do you end? I know in crisis there really is no set day. What does Jim Strickland's day look like?
Well, the text and the email start flowing at about 4:30 in the morning. I'm not saying I'm wide-eyed and bushy-tailed at 4:30 and 5 answering those. I'm still coming to the office. I'm leaving at 7:30. I get to the office a little earlier, before 8. We have an 8 o'clock joint task force conference call with the county government, city government, the hospitals, MLG&W, MATA, and we go over for an hour in detail all these subcommittee reports, trying to get us all on the same page. Germantown, Bartlett are joining. Now West Memphis has joined. We're hoping to get people from DeSoto County and Fayette and Tipton to join. So we're all on the same page. And then after that 9 o'clock call, everyone goes off and does their work. And then at 4 o'clock, the city-only team gets together on a conference call and reports back what we've done and how we coordinate. It's it is 99% of my day is coronavirus. There's unfortunately a little time for other matters. We do have. I thank the healthcare workers and first responders. I also want to thank the 311 operators here at City Hall. They have just been bombarded with questions, not only normal complaints like potholes and missed garbage pickup, but anything involving the coronavirus or people violating the order. We have code enforcement officers going out and checking these different companies, these retail establishments that should be closed. So it's just added to the frontline workers are carrying a huge burden, and I really appreciate them for doing it.
Mayor, I can't thank you enough for being on with us. We appreciate it. Maybe we can update in 2 or 3 weeks one more time with you, and hopefully we'll maybe be on the other side of the surge at that point. Thanks again.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Thank you, Mayor.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ. Listen to us daily on AM 560, 96.1 FM, or 87.7 FM.
Freeboard has been extended through March 31st. Hi, I'm John Conway with Conway Services. Are you considering replacing your heating and air conditioning system this spring? Conway Services and Carrier have teamed up to make now the perfect time. Our warehouse is full and our crews are slow, so to spark business during these slow winter months, Conway Services is giving away Carrier 80% gas furnaces absolutely free with the purchase of a standard Carrier air conditioning system. That's right, purchase a Carrier air conditioning system before March 31st and get the gas furnace absolutely free. If that's not enough, we'll include an April air cleaner, a 10-year parts warranty, and a free Nest thermostat, plus 12 months interest free. See why I still call it February through March 31st? And with Conway Services, you'll be receiving our award-winning service every time. So call Conway Services, the Mid-South's premier heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric service company at 384-3511. And the first 30 callers with a 10-year-old air conditioning system will come out and inspect it absolutely free.
Call 384-3511. Conway Services. Call Conway today.
The Home Depot is here to help, and we have many ways to help. You can download our app or go online to find the essential products and information you need quickly. You can order what you need online, and we can have it waiting for you at the store. Or we can even deliver over 1 million items free. And we have thousands of how-to videos for the projects and repairs you need to make. We're here to help. The Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Pastor Chris from Living Testimonies in Somerville, Tennessee invites you and your loved ones every Sunday on Sports 56 to praise God and worship with us from 10 to 11 a.m. on AM 560, FM 87.7, and FM 96.1. I have recently attended Living Testimonies in Somerville. What really touched my heart is the love and joy of Christ I felt from their faith-filled community, and the music was very anointed, a real revival on the way. If you feel alone or need a Holy Spirit booster shot, like you're standing on the glory spout of the living water, join us this Sunday from 10 to 11 a.m. and worship with us. Every person is a living testimony. Thank you, Pastor Chris, and your beautiful holy community of love and light in Christ. And if you have a prayer request, please call 731-443-4100. We will pray with you over the phone. God bless you.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Come on, Muhammad, then we hit fame. We busy with the deal, we get insane.
Welcome back. Nice to have you aboard as we wrap up this Thursday edition of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. It was very kind of the mayor to be as informative as he was. We truly appreciate that for sure. This final portion of our program brought to you by Genesis of Olive Branch. That's where the G cars are, those Genesis cars. I love talking about all the technology that are in Genesis cars. So good they last forever, a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. Every product they have on the lot there, you get that. And these G cars that come with intelligent drive mode, advanced all-wheel drive, forward collision avoidance assistant, lane keeping assistance, rear cross-traffic collision warning. You can't move into one of those cars, it will stop you. Blind spot collision warning, driver attention warning, low beam and high beam assist. This is what you get, and that's the technology for safety. Wait till you see the technology and performance, the speed, the handling. You'll love it. It's the best luxury car on the market, and it matches the people that are absolutely selling these. This is the place to go to see the way car business should be done. All you've got to do is take Lamar into Mississippi. When you get to Craft Road, turn left. You're there. You'll be at Genesis of Olive Branch. It's time for Crunch Time.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest Crunch Time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that?
Take questions again for the student athletes at this time, please.
What's happening, big dog? How you doing?
Is this thing working?
It's obviously Crunch Time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
Woo! Woo! Time for Taco Bell Crunch Time. Taco Bell, home of the crispy tortilla chips, topped with a double portion of either seasoned beef or shredded chicken, plus refried beans, nacho cheese sauce, reduced fat sour cream, guacamole, and a 3-cheese blend. Nachos Bel Grande, heaping portion of chips, topped with ground beef, tomatoes, beans, nacho cheese sauce, and a dollop of sour cream. Taco Bell, home to great food you get on your way home real fast, and they bring you crunch time every day.
Dave, I learned today, again, Eddie Sutton and his family waiting for the Naismith Hall of Fame call. You know, the Basketball Hall of Fame, unlike Baseball and Pro Football Hall of Fame, it encompasses college and pro. You know, there's the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton and the College Football Hall of Fame in Atlanta, and then the Baseball Hall of Fame, the one and only, in Cooperstown. But basketball, they do both. Eddie Sutton, again, waiting to see if he gets in. I know so many friends and former players and family waiting to see if he gets in. He's one of 3 coaches with 800 or more wins not in the Basketball Hall of Fame. Cliff Ellis and Bob Huggins. I think both of those two should get in sooner rather than later, but Eddie Sutton should be in. Great coach. I know he never won it all and went to, 2 Final Fours. One at Arkansas, one at Oklahoma State, but legendary coach. He should be in. Dave, what did you learn today?
Oh, I totally agree with you. I think there's no doubt, and I hope that they would be wise enough to put him in while he can still enjoy it. He has not been in good health for a couple of years. First off, I did learn the breaking news today during our show that the governor of the state of Tennessee, Bill Lee, now is mandating stay at home. He was urging it yesterday. I think he got a lot of pressure from people. Senator Cohen, Congressman Cohen, on CNN was begging him last night to make it mandatory, and today he did. It is effective immediately, and it will last through April the 14th. Sports-wise, I learned today that Titans running back Derrick Henry signed his $10.2 million franchise tender. So he and the Titans will now work on a long-term deal. Hopefully they get it done by July the 5th, but I would have to imagine if it's a one-year deal, $10.2 million for what that guy did last year is a bargain for Tennessee.
Man, he is a load of concrete blocks coming at you. Could have done without it. Michigan State, always a lot of headlines, and usually sexual misconduct headlines, and it all gets covered up at times, but not this time. Tom Izzo and his Hall of Fame reputation really being tarnished. Would someone hire Tom Izzo if he got fired at Michigan State? Well, the answer is yes, because he's a really good basketball coach. And if Rick Pitino has a job, Tom Izzo can get one.
Well,
what is it you could have done without?
If Rick Pitino has a job, you're right.
Yeah,
this thing with Tom Izzo, though, is basically he and 2 assistant coaches contacted an alleged sexual misconduct incident witness who happened to be Steve Smith's son, so he had a relationship with him. But before the police got there, Izzo and the assistants got there, and so there is a question of, was he really trying to protect the witness? Was he trying to protect the offender? Was he trying to protect the victim? I guess Tom Izzo will have to answer that in the long run. I could have done without LaMelo Ball and his manager, Jermaine Jackson, who's not the Jackson 5 Jermaine Jackson. They have purchased the team that LaMelo Ball played on in the Australian NBL. Wow. I guess he really enjoyed Australia, and he wanted to be a part of that. And when he gets drafted, he'll have a little bit of money. I have no idea what the cost of one of those Australian NBL teams is. I would assume it's not much, because I don't think big ballers made of the balls a lot of money, 1. And 2, he doesn't have any money yet. It's still coming, and his agent was a 5-year guy who played pro ball, but I don't think he ever made big money. So I'm assuming that the NBL is not a very expensive franchise to buy into.
Dave, I love it when you say big baller. We will visit with you tomorrow, Dave. Have a good one tonight, and stay safe, okay?
You too. Thank you.
You got to talk with Dave again tomorrow. Keeping a close eye on a lot tonight. See if there's any more clarity from the Open Championship, the British Open. I don't know why either name makes some so mad at either reference of Open Championship or British Open, but it does. See if they have a little more clarity from the RNA, as it got a little muddled last night. Golf Digest, very reputable outlet. They were writing and reporting last night that the Open Championship this year had been canceled. Mark Cuban, he's gone from betting in May, a resumption, to now the answer for all of us. No clue. No clue, people. No more clue than we have on those Friday football picks. Maybe more clueless now than ever. I know we can't wait to bat 1,000, but Drew, going forward around sports, and I have no inhibition at all about it. Wouldn't be embarrassed at all about it. I think when we start back, there will be a lot of people with protective masks on at sports, indoor, outdoor, tiny gyms, whatever it is, and I have no problem at all with that for both my safety and for the safety of others. So we'll see going forward. It would have been opening day in St. Louis, but it wasn't. One of these days it will be opening day, and we will enjoy. For Drew, for Dave, I'm Brett. Have a safe comfortable Thursday night. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 3 o'clock. At Jason's Deli, you can stuff yourself full of great deli food that's healthy, fresh, and best of all, it's not expensive. Jason's Deli is all about choice. Whether you're looking for a gluten-free menu, vegetarian sandwiches, healthy kids' meals, or if you'd like to invent your sandwich via the build-your-own selections, Jason's Deli has you covered. And they only use fresh, wholesome ingredients. Choose from the club and specialty sandwiches, paninis, wraps, soups, salads, pastas, and much more. I love the cleanliness in the restaurant, the hospitality, and of course the cost. They have a huge salad bar and great soups, including Southwest chicken chili, fire-roasted tortilla, organic vegetable, tomato basil, and many, many more. And if you're planning an event, their catering department is fantastic and can handle any size party. Go check out Jason's Deli's 4 locations.